every single day. If the system breaks, your stocks and dollars won't save you, but one thing will: gold. Gold has always survived a collapse. That's why banks and billionaires are stocking up, and Americans are protecting their savings with physical gold. Before the next shoe drops, call Lear Capital at 800-889-3070 for your free gold investment kit and $20,000 in bonus gold with a qualified purchase. Lear is your trusted source. Over $3 billion in transactions, thousands of reviews. Call now, 800-889-3070. That's 800-889-3070.
This is Alistair Begg, inviting you to sail with me next September 5th through the 12th, 2026, on the Deeper Faith Norwegian Fjords cruise. If you've never been to this picturesque part of the world, the sights are magnificent, and the glacier-carved cliffs demonstrate the grandeur of God's creative handiwork. Throughout the journey, I'll be teaching from the Bible. Together we'll learn from the Scriptures, enjoy a week of fellowship and worship, and stop at several ports where we'll stroll through quaint Nordic villages. This is an opportunity to explore scenes you won't soon forget, all while forming new friendships with fellow believers from around the world. Cabins are limited, so call today at 855-565-5519 or visit deeperfaithcruise.com. 855-565-5519 or visit deeperfaithcruise.com. I hope to see you on board.
Book today at 560theanswer.com/deeperfaith.
MyPillow is excited to announce they're having their biggest 3-in-1 sale ever with a limited edition product, a back-in-stock special, and a closeout deal you won't find anywhere else. My Slippers, only $39.98. Any color, any style. Regular $149.98. Now only $39.98. That's a $110 savings. Once they're gone for good. My Towels are finally back in stock, but not for long. Get a 6-piece My Towel set, regular $69.98, now only $39.98. And for the first and only time, get their limited edition premium My Pillows made with Giza cotton and a designer gusset. Queens $17.98, Kings only $19.98. Also, for a limited time, when your order is over $100, you'll receive free shipping plus $100 in free digital gifts. So go to mypillow.com or call 800-489-0201 and use promo code LIBERTY. That number again is 800-489-0201. Promo code LIBERTY.
Hi, I'm Ken Mariotti, owner of Woodland Windows and Doors, a third-generation family-owned business since 1969. We know you're bombarded by choices when shopping for new windows or doors, so we're inviting you to experience the Woodland difference. For decades, we have been transforming living spaces with Marvin Windows, a fifth-generation family business. Marvin replacement windows have been known to increase the warmth of your cold rooms by 10 degrees. Think about that, 10 degrees warmer. When you welcome Woodland into your home, you will get a product expert to transform your living spaces, full-time, dedicated professional installers that you can trust in your home, along with the best products like Marvin. These are the reasons we're proud of our 5-star reviews and family legacy. No gimmicks, no pressure, and upfront pricing are why Woodland Windows and Doors is your trusted window and door expert in Chicagoland. Visit woodlandwindows.com to book your free in-home expert consultation. That's woodlandwindows.com, or stop by our showroom at the corner of Lake and Geary in Roselle.
A great smile can make you feel happy and confident. So when you consciously conserve your teeth, that glowing smile will show through. At Best Dental Group, doctors Economos, Gavalis, and their staff are ready to help you create that perfect look or maintain the one you have now. Along with general dentistry, Best Dental Group is a multidiscipline practice with an orthodontist, periodontist, and prosthetic specialists on site. They use the newest breakthroughs in dental technology such as titanium implants, Invisalign clear braces, and laser treatments. Don't let fear get in the way. They can recommend sedation to make your experience as comfortable as possible. Best Dental Group is located in historic downtown Bartlett and is a multilingual office. Call 630-830-4930, 630-830-4930, or visit bestdental.org. Best Dental Group, sharing your conservative values and helping you to conserve your teeth.
If you need custom boxes and crates, expert packing and crating, import-export transloading with heavy lift capability, the DC Group delivers. It all started 51 years ago with DC Export and Domestic Packing, the hard work of founders Dominic and Carol Cochemiglio. Their family's desire to exceed customer expectations, backed by an incredible team and loyal customers, is now driving expansion. From their humble roots in a garage-sized building to 100,000 square feet in the Chicago area, 45,000 in Greenville, and a new Houston facility, they're coast to coast. And their sister company, DC Transport, handles everything from container drayage to super heavy haul loads across North America since 1991. Whether it's packing and crating, transloading, transportation service, or trade shows, the DC Group delivers. Those that attended FabTech 2025, we'd love to hear from you. Get your quote now at dcexport.com. That's dcexport.com, your trusted logistics partner.
Now, your official weather forecast.
Today will be breezy with a mix of clouds and sun. The high will reach 56. Tonight, expect clouds early, then becoming partly cloudy later. The low will drop to 42. Tomorrow, anticipate a blend of clouds and sunshine. It'll feel chilly for trick-or-treating. The high temperature will be 55. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com.
Portions of the following show may be pre-recorded.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. Well, ICE and the Department of Justice collapsed back. Yesterday, a DSA candidate, that's Democrat Socialists of America candidate for Congress, you know her, Kat Abugzala. She's one of the communists running to replace Calamity Jan Schakowsky, the wife of Creamy Bob there in the 9th District. Kat the Commie, it's easier. Kat the Commie and a candidate for Cook County Board, along with 4 other people, were indicted yesterday on charges they conspired to, quote, forcibly impede, intimidate, and interfere with a federal agent while protesting outside the Broadview ICE facility. Kat the Commie and Kat Sharp, who is running to replace, a lot of cats, running to replace the 12th District, running to represent the 12th District, I should say, in the Cook County Board. Those two indicted, along with 45th Ward neo-Marxist committee human Michael Rabbitt, and Oak Park Village Board trustee Brian Straw. Oh, Brian. Oh, no. Dandy from Oak Park is not going to do well in the federal pen, as well as Andre Martin and Jocelyn Walsh, whoever those knuckleheads are. How about that? 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. Now, I haven't seen all the video or all the evidence that the Department of Justice presents as having against these individuals. But I do remember a couple of weeks ago, Kat the Commie running to replace Calamity Jan. I do remember seeing her interfering with a ICE officer outside the Broadview facility and having to get pushed back by an ICE officer or somebody that was aiding that ICE officer. I do remember that. So it had to be related. I assume it's related to that incident. Kat took to Blue Sky, her safe place, to comment on this indictment. And I have something to say about the media coverage of this, too, because it is being covered. But don't believe for a second that the media covering this story is intended to present sort of both sides of the story. And I'll take calls if somebody wants to beat me to my own punch. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro, answer line and text line in terms of what I'm leading to there. But first, Kat the Commie on Blue Sky over her indictment.
My name is Kat Abugzala. I'm running for Congress in the 9th District of Illinois. And the Department of Justice is charging 6 people, including myself, with federal crimes for exercising our First Amendment rights near ICE's Broadview Processing Center. This is a political prosecution and a gross attempt to silence dissent, a right protected under the First Amendment. This case is a major push by the Trump administration to criminalize protest and punish anyone who speaks out against them. That's why I'm going to fight these unjust charges, but I need your help to do it. As I and others have exercised our First Amendment rights, ICE has hit, dragged, thrown, shot with pepper balls, and tear gassed hundreds of protesters, simply because we had the gall to say that masked men coming into our communities, abducting our neighbors, and terrorizing us cannot be our new normal. And because Chicago doesn't back down from bullies in masks who tear gas our neighborhoods, this administration has resorted to weaponizing the federal justice system to scare us into silence. But we're not going to be silent. The Trump administration wants you to be afraid of speaking out against it and its anti-democratic power grabs. And there are plenty of reasons to be afraid right now, but we have to overcome that fear. This case targets our rights to protest, speak freely, and associate with anyone who disagrees with the government. And while we have seen the unhinged and unlawful tactics this administration has used against the American public, it's important to remember they're doing this because they are scared. They are wrong. And they know they are on the wrong side of history. We cannot diminish ourselves in the face of these attacks. That's why we have to unite and stand up for humanity, our rights, and everyone terrorized by Trump's lawless secret police. You'll be hearing regular updates directly from me about this case and how we can use our constitutional rights to resist authoritarianism. And as scary as all of this is, I have spent my career fighting America's backslide into fascism. I'm not going to stop now, and I hope you won't either.
My career, she's like 14 years old. I mean, not literally 14, but she's like in her 20s. My career. My career as a professional agitator. My career as a social justice warrior. My career as a fascist, anti-fascist. Video to her own account shows her and dozens of other mostly peaceful protesters attempting to block a ICE vehicle from entering the ICE federal facility, pounding on the hood of the vehicle. That's blocking a car and pounding on the hood. That is not peaceful protesting. They characterize it as like being run down by an ICE vehicle while they were just crossing the crosswalk. That's not true. I don't think, by the way, that this is why they are the subjects of federal indictments. The 6 individuals here, the Broadview 6. Let me coin it before the Chicago Press Corps does. I think it has more to do with that other incident, which there's partial video of. At least I've only seen partial video that I was describing before. But regardless, the Broadview 6 under federal indictment, we'll see how that goes. Federal government has a pretty good win percentage when it brings cases, with the focus on cases like this. And what the Department of Justice surely understood would be the political fallout. I suspect they have the goods. And we'll provide the details as the federal government makes them available. But I wouldn't be, what can they do except exhibit bravado in the face of this, or silence, as like that dandy from Oak Park is exhibiting, which is probably the better course of action at the moment. Chris, on the Dan Ryan, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Yes, this young lady is obviously has a short-term memory loss, because I don't think she can go back 4 years to determine, what is the weaponizing of the legal and Department of Justice. She should be looking back about 3.5 years ago and take a look at the Department of Justice and weaponizing mandates to vaccinate people and all this other stuff. So I think that's the problem with our society nowadays, that we have short-term memory loss from all the dope that we're smoking. That's my only comment. Thanks.
Thanks for the call, Chris. Joe in Naperville.
Yeah, even though guilty is sitting on video, there is no way in the world a leftist judge and jury in Illinois is going to convict these people.
Yeah, I don't know about that. Thanks for the call, Joe. I mean, if they go for a bench trial, which I doubt, there's sort of black letter law. But I wouldn't be so sure about that. There's a lot of criminals who get convicted in Illinois with Illinois judges, both local and, local, state, federal, all of the above. presiding and Illinois juries populating the jury box. I wouldn't be so sure of that. Dan in Salem, Wisconsin.
Dan, I called about a week and a half ago or so. We talked about this. These Democrats, see, she's lying. They lie and they lie and they lie. They're Marxist-Leninist people. And that's what they do. They tell you a lie over and over again until you start to believe it. You know what I'm saying, Dan?
I do know what you're saying. Yes, thanks for the call, Dan. That is the Alinsky way. Just want to comment on the press coverage of this, though. As I said, the press coverage of this, unlike the lack of coverage, certainly proportional coverage for victims of people in this country illegally. Don't take the press coverage of this story, the Broadview 6, as, oh, they're covering both sides. Oh, see, they cover people who are now accused of crimes and a violent act against ICE, impeding ICE in their official duties. That's not what they're doing. They're covering this story, and they will amplify this story for the purposes of creating cause celebs out of these individuals, particularly if Kat the Commie is going to continue to be outspoken. They'll give her all the airtime that she needs to set up a legal defense fund, to continue to prosecute those lies about ICE and the Trump administration that Dan from Salem, Wisconsin just mentioned. That's what they're doing here. This is just another angle to the same bidding for the resistance that the Chicago Press Corps does, just as the D.C. Press Corps does. That's what's happening here. You're not going to get any, because this story will divide along partisan lines. Oh, they're obviously innocent, and this is lawfare and malicious prosecution, and crackdown of people for just expressing their views on their First Amendment protections have been violated, and it's more evidence we have a king in D.C. You know the rap. That's what you're going to hear. So this just divides along the same lines we're already divided when it comes to enforcing federal immigration law. This doesn't move anything. If you told the stories of the victims of people in this country illegally, if you provided some proportion to the competing threats to public safety, the competing threats to societal cohesion, well, that wouldn't be good for them. So those stories don't get told, or they're minimized as opposed to presented in a proportional fashion. This is to further inflame and ostracize and, frankly, demonize ICE and the Trump administration. This is going to be presented as just more evidence of the Trump administration being the actual threat to our democracy. The lawlessness actually coming from the Trump administration, as good people like Kat the Commie and Oak Park Dandy are seeing their rights torn asunder. That's what you're going to hear. And the press is going to continue to tell that story. Bank on it. Coming up at 5:38, just a postscript on Oak Park. I have to get this story in. Oak Park River Forest mourns the departure. She hasn't left the planet. She's just gone to another school district. The departure of their student success and equity officer, or whatever the Orwellian title is at OPRF. This story is something. 5:38. Now we check the headlines.
Good morning. It is 48 degrees here in Chicago on AM 560 The Answer. I'm Stace Keene in the AM 560 newsroom. A federal appeals court has blocked an order requiring a senior Border Patrol official to brief a judge on Chicago immigration sweeps. The court intervened yesterday before Greg Bovino's first late afternoon meeting with U.S. District Judge Sarah Ellis. Ellis had wanted daily briefings after seeing video and other images of confrontations between immigration agents and the public. Ellis's order was an unprecedented bid to impose real-time oversight on the Trump administration's immigration crackdown. Bovino is chief of the Border Patrol sector in El Centro, California, and he's leading the efforts here in Chicago. The Federal Reserve Bank of Chicago reports the National Financial Conditions Index was unchanged at negative 0.55 in the week ending October 24th. That suggests steady financial conditions. This report is sponsored by Blindster.com. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next, but now
Scott Jennings explains the impact of the shutdown.
House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries said that he is opposing a Senate Republican bill to extend pay to the troops and to some federal workers during the shutdown, all to appease a radical left-wing base. It is pathetic political theater.
The Scott Jennings Show. Weekdays at 1, right before Hugh Hewitt at 2 on AM 560. The Answer.
Let's see, if something costs less, a lot less, but people are actually happier with it, that sounds like something to look into, and that's MediShare. Maybe you've heard joining MediShare can save you or your family up to $500 a month, and that's huge, but it's also true. People are just happier with it. They love being part of something that reflects and promotes their values and what they believe in. MediShare works, too. It's been around for 30 years now, and members have shared more than $7 billion of each other's bills. People love having telehealth and a huge nationwide PPO network, so yeah, really, you can save a ton and like it better. Imagine being happy with how you're taking care of your health care, whether you're self-employed or part of the gig economy, or you just want a plan that you're happy with. Here you go. You can call right now and get a price within 2 minutes. A very, very smart use of 2 minutes. Here's the number you need. It's 833-34-BIBLE. That's 833-34-BIBLE. 833-34-BIBLE.
Is cremation an option you're considering for you or your loved one? At Catholic Cemeteries, we offer sacred, permanent places of rest where loved ones can be remembered, prayed for, and visited for generations. Too often, cremated remains are brought home, only to end up in closets, basements, or forgotten on shelves. Memorialization is forever. Honor their life. Preserve your legacy. Visit us today at CatholicCemeteryChicago.org to schedule a free consultation or call 708-236-5490.
Ross Shaw talks about building income in retirement.
You know, you can actually structure it in a way to have that $4,000 a month coming in the door every single month. So you don't have to look at the stock ticker and say, oh, the stock market's up today, stock market's down. You still got that $4,000 a month, and having that opportunity to take the vacations and do all the fun things in retirement that you always dream to do.
Unleash your wealth, Saturday at 7 a.m. and 2 p.m. on AM 560, The Answer.
Protect your liver and give it the support it deserves with Active Liver from New Nordic. Find Active Liver in stores at your local CVS, Meijer Grocery, or online at Amazon or at newnordicusa.com.
Now, your official weather forecast.
Today will be breezy with a mix of clouds and sun, reaching a high of 56. Tonight, expect cloudy skies early, then becoming partly cloudy later with a low of 42. Tomorrow, anticipate a blend of clouds and sunshine, perfect for Halloween activities with a high of 55. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Health Quest Radio with Dr. David Kolbaba. Saturday mornings at 11. Visit healthquestradio.com.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. Get your tickets for Freedom Summit Chicago 2025, featuring Dr. Ben Carson, Scott Jennings, Mike Gallagher, and many more. Get your tickets today at freedomsummitchicago.com.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here, and just since we had an Oak Park trustee, part of the Broadview Six, this dandy named Brian Straw, indicted for impeding the operation of federal law enforcement officers at the Broadview facility, along with Kat the Commie running for the seat currently held by Calamity Jan Schakowsky, who's retiring to focus on her folk music. Since we included Oak Park, I mean, I can't resist. It's Oak Park. It's an endless source of fun. Oak Park River Forest High School, which is a terrible school. Just awful. Director of Equity and Student Success is a woman named Latanya Applewhite. Dr. LaTonya Applewhite. She got, as I understand it, and I'm reading from the Journal here. So this is the commie paper for the commie town. Oak Park Nuclear Free Zone. That's the Oak Park I'm talking about, just to make sure we're all on the same page. LaTonya Applewhite, doctor, because she's got a couple of postgraduate degrees from Chicago State. Those are almost worth the paper they're written on. And a PhD in teacher leadership from Concordia. Wow. You know what that does? That gets you a $157,000 salary at OPRF to be the equity and student success functionary. Interesting. Again, this is from the commie paper. Upon her departure, and I'll get to why she has departed, the teachers there breaking bad on her at OPRF, of course, anonymously. I never saw her. She was pretty non-existent. I don't think people even thought about her. I just kind of thought of her as somebody who was there. Boy, that is a glowing review for somebody making $160,000, and that's before you include all the bennies. I just thought of her as somebody kind of there, kind of taking up space. Yeah. Oh, and so what's happening with her? And I'll get to why she's moved on to greener pastures. We're doing the dance of the lemons with the Dr. LaTonya Applewhite. She has been retained by the Dalton School District to be their HR director, only making $140,000. I know what you're thinking. Dan, please tell me that her pension benefits are still accruing as she moved from one school district to the other. Yes, don't worry. They are. You'll happily pay for her net present value, if she stays at this trajectory. $2.5, $3 million pension. Don't you fret. That is not in jeopardy. Dalton School District has one of the District 149, 8 schools, 2,200 students. That is one of those higher paid superintendents in the region, and that's a school district where most everybody is unable to read or do math at grade level. But again, I understand that performance is not particularly relevant. She'll fit right in there, just standing around taking up space like she did at OPRF, according to OPRF teachers, not me. She resigned a little bit more than 5 weeks after she was placed on paid leave following her broadcast of a somewhat revealing Facebook Live video from her office. I don't know why. Come on, Wednesday Journal. You could at least post the video. I tried to pull it from her Instagram page, but it's private. I don't think she's going to respond to my invitation. The Instagram handle she uses is Tonya B. Glowing and Infinite Glow Goddess. She uses the Insta account as well as apparently Facebook Live videos from her office to promote a waist-shaping device that keeps, quote, my midsection snatched. After the video was circulated, of her just demonstrating the waist-shaping device, she was placed on paid leave. Thank God she was paid. Placed on paid leave. And she was potentially going to face termination proceedings. Boy, it must have been really interesting. Termination proceedings from a high school like OPRF? Never happens. But instead, she has departed for greener pastures. The interim director of equity and student success, because you have to backfill that position. That is integral to student success. It says it in the title, so it must be. Has been named Lee Williams, because I know people are interested. The superintendent, I wish Dr. Applewhite all the best in her new role. Doctor. No one anticipates looking for a new administrator in October, but we were confident we were in good hands with Dr. Lee Williams. Oh, thank goodness they found another doctor. Dr. Lee will replace Dr. Latanya as the interim director, leading this work for the remainder of the year. Big question, will anybody acknowledge the presence of Dr. Lee? Will he make an imprint on the school in a way that Dr. Latanya apparently did not? Before coming to OPRF, just a couple of years ago, Dr. Applewhite worked in 3 academic administrative positions at Rich Township High School. She began her career. I mean, I know you want all the backstory here. It really is a case study in how these government schools work, including in the wealthy, leafy suburbs, Oak Park, River Forest. There's some bank there. She began her career in education. She's an educator. All right. 2005. Boy, she's already got 20 years in. That pension is going to be sweet. She's almost ready for retirement. When she was hired to be an English teacher in the Chicago Public Schools, how'd that go? Can I get the schools? I'd like to look up the stats. Not that she's singularly responsible as just an English teacher, but she taught for 7 years before, being kicked upstairs. Then she was an education support specialist, then a principal and an associate principal at CPS before going to Rich Township in 2018. It was good. It was good to get, a good 13 years of real training on educating kids in CPS before she embarked out to Rich Township and back to OPRF and over to Dalton now. Dance of the Lemons, as Davis Guggenheim so famously memorialized in his Waiting for Superman documentary. That's what this is. And it's all over these government school districts. The suburban school districts are rotten with it, particularly the ones that are abject failures, which is most of Chicago and most of the south suburbs. We're going to talk to Ike Mezikowski about Chicago Hope Academy a little bit later in the program, so you can compare and contrast. So you can hear about a model of success that should be replicated and scaled. And we could do that in Illinois, Chicagoland, if there was any political will, but there isn't. If there was much in the way of political leadership, but there isn't. If parents were more concerned about the substance of what was going on in these school systems as opposed to protecting the shield, protecting the reputation, protecting their decision to move to a particular community for the schools and send their kids to the schools. And so I can't admit I did something wrong. I can't admit I was mistaken about these schools, or I can't admit that the schools that I once knew, perhaps once attended, are not the same schools today, if that was the case, but it's not in most places. Funny thing about it is, the places where we continue to point to success stories are not exclusively, but are oftentimes lower income minority families that see a school like Chicago Hope Academy go up and want to send their kids there because they realize that this is a school that's serious about academic excellence and character formation, and then that school gets rolling and it produces the results promised and it attracts more. So, I mean, while the enlightened gentry of the North Shore or Oak Park River Forest are sending their kids to these mills that teach them how to grow up to be Kat the Commie and protest at an ICE facility and little else, there's a lot of minority families on the south side of Chicago that are actually going to end the cycle of dependence by getting their kids to places like Chicago Hope and other schools. And they're going to get educated, and they're going to get out, and they're going to be successful, and it's going to change the course of their family's history. That's the good news. The bad news is it's just not big enough. It's not happening for enough kids. Scott in Frankfurt.
Hey, Dan, I was wondering, have you ever seen a copy of The American Educator? It's the magazine that the teachers union hands out to all their teachers. It's a quarterly magazine. It is absolutely disgusting. It's a socialist rag. I've got a copy I can get to you if you ever... And they get it. These teachers, now you'd understand why these teachers are the way they are if you see what they read every day from their teachers union.
Yeah,
It's absolutely disgusting.
Yeah, I've read the Marx Engels Reader, Scott, so I don't feel like I need to read The American Educator. Feels redundant. Thanks for the call, though. No, I hear you. I'll agitprop all the time. But I will, just for people, I've got some texts asking about this, that weight shaping device that Dr. LaTanya was pitching on social media. If I will try to track it down, and if there's an associated video with Dr. LaTanya demonstrating it, I will pass that along as well, post that on social media so people can access that and maybe consider that for presenting a more shapely figure in public. George in Naperville.
Yes, Dan, do not be jealous of the lives of educators. They have a superpower. They teach.
Thanks for the call. Look, this is not some commentary on all teachers. I hate to have to give these contextual comments. I've written a lot about this. I've always said a great teacher is like a great artist. And I've always lamented the fact that half the teachers in Illinois, at least this is stats a little bit old, but I assume it's probably the same, perhaps worse. Half the teachers in Illinois leave the profession within the first 3 years, and it's not over pay and benefits. Clearly, it's because they can't do what they got into teaching to do, which is to instill a love of learning into children and develop them intellectually and socially and emotionally. Can't do it in these command control systems like CPS. And a lot of these suburban districts, too. So talented people get frustrated, feel like it's going nowhere, so they go do something else. That's what happens with young people, trying things out, trying to apply their talents. So it's definitely a complicated picture. But when you have school districts that become parodies of themselves, and you have these union apparatchiks with 6-figure salaries and 7-figure guaranteed pensions that are comically inept, they deserve to be lampooned. So we're drawing some lines here. And if people are uncomfortable with those lines, well, that's just too bad, isn't it? Dan Proft, Chicago's Morning Answer.
This is the morning show more Chicago radio listeners are choosing. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Hello, this is Alistair Beck. In September of 2026, I'll be teaching the Bible as we cruise through the Norwegian fjords. I'd love for you to join me. Call 855-565-5519 or visit deeperfaithcruise.com.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank, a bank where relationships still matter. Signature Bank knows your name and your story. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
Hi, I'm Bob Chivato, owner of Go Exceed and a customer of Signature Bank. By leveraging AI and machine learning, we provide data management solutions for corporations to save time and money managing their cellular devices. While we rely on machines to help us run our business, we believe personal relationships are essential. This is why we chose Signature Bank. Having a banking partner who understands our background, our business, and our priorities is fundamental to our success. Any bank can provide basic services, But having a bank that you could trust, one that looks out for you and treats your business like its own, that's irreplaceable.
Signature Bank helps local businesses succeed. Want to learn how Signature Bank can help turn your business vision into reality? Call Signature Bank at 773-467-5600 or visit signaturebank.bank. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
A voice for the new right, charting a new path forward for American conservatism. It's the Josh Hammer Show.
What is the alternative to engaging with your political opponents, to hearing out their criticism in as happy warrior-like fashion as you can have it? The day that we replace that with, God forbid, with violence, that's how republics die. There is nothing good down that road.
The Josh Hammer Show on the Salem Podcast Network. Subscribe today on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, or at SalemPodcastNetwork.com.
President Trump has made some pretty amazing claims since he's taken his seat as president. He's delivering on what he promised. On Inauguration Day, Trump's very first declaration was,
"The golden age of America begins right now. From this day forward, our country will flourish."
Consider this. Since the election, gold has shot up hundreds of dollars per ounce, shattering all-time record highs. Fox Valley Coins does not pretend to know the future, but they do know that if you're buying or selling gold or silver, they are the place to do it. These are some of the top reasons people choose a dealer. You want a national dealer with a local presence you can deal with face-to-face. You want a large selection, the best prices, and great service. You want to walk in with cash and walk out with the best product. You want to deal with legacy dealers with integrity. Whether buying or selling or just one valuation, Fox Valley Coins is your answer for choosing a dealer. Visit Fox Valley Coins, 1 light north of I-88 on Route 59 at the Naperville-Warrenville border. FoxValleyCoins.com. Family-owned integrity since 1981.
Sean Thompson here, and I'm with attorney Bert Hochberg from the law firm of Schiller, Ducanto, and Fleck. We're talking about divorce arbitration. This is not really a new, or is it a new, innovative way to go through divorce?
Arbitration has been around for decades. It's completely legit and available to resolve divorce cases. The litigants and their lawyers sign an arbitration agreement. They identify what the issues are, and we set up dates, and we determine what experts and witnesses there may be. Arbitration is a hearing, a trial that is intended to finish a case efficiently with limited appeal, with a binding decision, and it's confidential, so it has some great characteristics.
I think it's a unique alternative to divorce. For more information, please visit sdflaw.com and type Bert Hochberg into the search box. That's sdflaw.com or call direct 773-255-6150.
Sign up for the AM 560 Answer Advantage to get early alerts on event ticket sales, special discounts, and contest opportunities. Sign up today at 560theanswer.com/advantage. AM 560, The Answer.
Dan Proft here. I'm not done dealing with Oak Park this hour. We're going to get all the Oak Park stuff in. Senate President Don Harmon, he's from Oak Park. I'm sure he's friends with Brian Straw. I don't know. Don Harmon over at Oak Park Country Club is like Steve Martin in The Lonely Guy. Table for one? Yeah, this guy can only play with his wife at Oak Park Country Club. Nobody wants to play with him. That's not surprising. Nobody should who has any self-respect. Well, I told you the story last week, beginning of last week. Don Harmon, who is the Senate president, who is an attorney, violated campaign finance law spectacularly in Illinois. There are caps, contribution caps, that you can obviate if at the legislative level you donate $100,000. If you self-fund to $100,000, then the caps are blown and you can raise unlimited funds. So he donated $100,000 a couple of cycles ago, so he could blow the caps. But that is only good for until the next election, and then it resets. It's not in perpetuity. And everyone knows that, including Don Harmon, or should know that, unless he wants to plead, I am a incompetent Senate president and attorney, which he has not suggested he is. So he raised millions of dollars in this, under this idea that he could raise unlimited funds forever because he had blown the contribution limits once. That's not how it works. Again, this is black letter. Everyone understands this. The State Board of Elections imposed a $9.8 million fine on him for accepting campaign donations greater than the law allowed, because that's the amount of money he raised above the contribution limits under his phony theory of the caps being off. So it was 8-0, in the first couple stages of the inquiry and adjudication of this matter. But then it came down to a vote to impose it, to really impose the fine. And the State Board of Elections is 4-4, 4 Democrats, 4 Republicans. Guess what the vote was? 4-4. 8-0. When it's time to get real, 4-4, right down party lines. Even though everyone knows and previously essentially assented to the idea that he knowingly blew the caps or raised money above the caps that were no longer blown after the first cycle, and this fine should be imposed to claw back the illicit money that he raised, like it would happen to anybody else. So now they're arguing whether 4-4 means the fine stands or whether it means it doesn't because it's not a majority. Michael Casper, Michael Madigan's former lawyer, is now Harmon's lawyer, and he's threatening to go to circuit court. So they went back and forth, and they've punted this until their meeting in November. I mean, if he gets away with this really should be garnering much more attention locally and even nationally. The size of the fine alone should tell you how egregious his conduct was and how obviously egregious. So we'll stay on this. That's a fun hour of beating up on all these terrible Oak Park Pauls, wasn't it? Coming up at 6:06. Boy, I think the Chinese communists really had it figured out with TikTok. EBT of TikTok in the wake of the potential loss of SNAP benefits this weekend. It's now 6 o'clock, AM 560.
On a scale of 0 to 10, it was a 12. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. That's what President Trump says about his sit-down with China's leader, wrapping up his trip to Asia and South Korea.
I thought it was an amazing meeting. He's a great leader.
The president said that on Air Force One flying back home after their talks eased trade tension, cutting tariffs on Chinese imports.
President Trump says the tariffs are lowered effective immediately.
It was 57, now it's 47. Because we reduced it by the fentanyl.
20% of that was punishment for China not doing enough to prevent fentanyl from reaching the United States. That's cut in half. He's also suspending port fees on Chinese ships. China will put on hold for at least a year export controls on rare earth minerals and immediately start buying American soybeans again.
Fox's Chris Foster. The president also told reporters he's directed the War Department to resume nuclear tests immediately.
We have more nuclear weapons than anybody. We don't do testing. We've halted it many years ago. But with others doing testing, I think it's appropriate that we do also.
Now, the U.S. military is taking on another suspected drug boat. Secretary of War Pete Hegseth announced it on X, posting video of the explosion, killing 4 people he calls narco-terrorists off the Venezuelan coast. The 14th strike in this operation that has left 61 alleged illegal drug traffickers dead. More than a week after the jewelry heist at the famous Louvre in Paris.
French authorities announcing today 5 more arrests in connection with that robbery, including one they call the prime or main suspect, maybe the ringleader. Remember, there were 4 people who broke into the upper floor window of the museum. They made off with $100 million worth of French crown jewels.
Fox's Greg Palcott. For a 30th straight day, the government shut down. Federal workers unpaid. Millions of Americans may lose food stamp assistance starting Saturday.
This is all about a leverage point for political purposes.
Republican Senator Mark Wayne Mullen blames Democrats. Democrats blame Republicans. America's listening to Fox News.
WIND, Chicago.
Good morning. It is 47 degrees in Chicago on AM 560, The Answer. I'm Stace Keene in the AM 560 newsroom. A woman running for Congress is facing charges stemming from protests outside the Chicago ICE facility. Fox's Jeff Manasso has the details.
Kat Epigazzoli, a Democrat candidate for Congress in Illinois' 9th District, representing parts of Chicago, is among 6 people indicted in federal court charged with impeding a federal agent. It stems from protests outside the Broadview ICE facility late last month, in which she was captured appeared on viral video, appearing to be moved away from where protesters were blocking ICE vehicles and tossed to the ground by ICE agents.
This is a political prosecution and a gross attempt to silence dissent, a right protected under the First Amendment.
Abba Ghazali saying that she'll fight the charges. She's one of several candidates running to replace retiring Democrat Rep. Jan Schakowsky. In Chicago, Jeff Manasso, Fox News.
The U.S. Supreme Court has delayed issuing a ruling on President Trump's request to deploy National Guard troops here in Chicago. The court is debating how to interpret the wording of a law that limits when a president can use members of the National Guard. The court has asked attorneys on both sides to submit briefs that address the meaning of the term, quote, regular forces in regards to the military and how it should be analyzed in this instance. And Governor J.B. Pritzker signed an executive order to declare an agricultural trade crisis in Illinois. The governor signed the order yesterday at a farm in Taylorville. Pritzker says Illinois farmers are under attack by the Trump administration and Republicans in Congress.
While Donald Trump falsely brags about winning trade wars, U.S. farmers are the ones who truly are.
Pritzker says farmers are going bankrupt and being forced to sell their land. News is a service of Air Right Heating and Cooling, offering AM 560 listeners $56 off any service, including inspections, or take advantage of limited time federal rebates on a new furnace. Visit Air Right Heating and Cooling today at AIR-RITE.com. Again, that's AIR-RITE.com. A check of the roads is coming up in 2 minutes on AM 560, The Answer.
Get your tickets for Freedom Summit Chicago 2025, happening on Saturday, November 8th at Westin Chicago Northwest in Itasca. This year, featuring Dr. Ben Carson, Scott Jennings, Mike Gallagher, along with Dan Proft, Sean Thompson, John Anthony, and many more. This event will sell out fast, so get your tickets today at freedomsummitchicago.com. That's freedomsummitchicago.com. Sponsored in part by True Power Generator Service, Woodland Windows and Doors, and by Moms for Liberty.
An official message from Medicare.
Medicare plans change from one year to the next. And this year, it's important for you to review your current coverage and compare all your options during Medicare open enrollment. Compare health plans, drug coverage, and costs. See if you can save some money, and don't forget to make sure your drugs are covered. Open enrollment ends December 7th. Visit Medicare.gov or call 1-800-MEDICARE.
Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
The Tunnel to Towers Foundation honors America's heroes. Heroes like U.S. Army Warrant Officer 1 Stuart Waymond. After joining the Army, Stuart graduated from Army Aviation School and had a distinguished career until a mid-air collision during a training exercise took Stuart's life. He leaves behind his wife Kira and their 3 sons. Tunnel to Towers paid the mortgage on Stuart's family home. Help more families like Stuart's. Donate $11 a month to Tunnel to Towers at T2T.org. That's T2T.org.
Hi, my name is Dr. Michael Huber. During cold and flu season, a nearby cough or sneeze can trigger a familiar dread, that helpless feeling of being defenseless against an invisible viral threat. But what if you could change the narrative? What if you could fortify your body's natural defenses? This is why I developed Virago, the immune enhancement cocktail designed to give your body the upper hand. Virago is more than a supplement. It's a revolutionary liquid formula packed with 23 powerful natural nutraceuticals for rapid absorption. This unique blend is scientifically crafted to help build resilience and keep you protected. Don't just hope for good health. Make it happen with Virago. Virago and Maha, making America healthy again.
Virago. Order your bottle today online at myvirago.com and use coupon code IMMUNE to save 30%. myvirago.com. Coupon code IMMUNE.
From the Team Hochberg Traffic Center, we've got some incidents to talk about this morning. All right, the Tri-State northbound between Reagan Memorial and Eisenhower. About a 15-minute backup due to slow traffic on the ramp to the outbound Ike. On the Edens, looking good if you're outbound from Montrose to Lake Cook, about a 13-minute drive. Traffic slowing on the Kennedy outbound between Central and Harlem Avenue. It'll set you back about 5 minutes. On the Stevenson, about a 5-minute backup if you're going to be inbound between Harlem and Kedzie Avenue. An accident with injuries on I-55 in Will County. That's on northbound lanes after North River Road, so watch for there. Brake lights on the Bishop Ford inbound between Cottage Grove and the Dan Ryan Expressway. And in Lake County, North Chicago, a structure fire is blocking the intersection of Audrey Nixon and Elizabeth Avenue. Crews are on the scene, but watch for lingering traffic issues there. This report brought to you by Fox Valley Coins. No waiting, no problems. No charge for in-store verbal appraisals. Bring your gold or silver in today, foxvalleycoins.com. I'm John Cruz. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Now check out that forecast from the National Weather Service.
Today will be breezy with a mix of clouds and sun. The high will reach 56. Tonight, expect clouds early, then becoming partly cloudy later. The low will drop to 42. Tomorrow, anticipate a blend of clouds and sunshine. It'll feel chilly for trick-or-treating. The high temperature will be 55. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Goldilocks, offering smart security systems to homes and businesses. Call Goldilocks at 708-889-5600.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. On the government shutdown, it's getting a little chippier. Quote-unquote government shutdown, you know, the temporary partial shutdown of non-essential workers at the federal level. More apt description. But there's some concern because of the question about SNAP and WIC benefits. So food stamps and, welfare support for poorer Americans. That may be on ice beginning this weekend until there's a resolution to this impasse. A resolution to this impasse is pretty straightforward. It has been since the outset. Louisiana Senator John Kennedy on with Varney offered this.
Look, if the bill comes in front of us, I'm going to vote for it. I just think it's a waste of time talking about it because the Democrats aren't going to vote for it. The way to get everybody paid is to open up the government. We're not asking our Democratic colleagues to sell a kidney. All we're saying is we don't want anything. We just want to open up government so we can negotiate a budget. And Senator Schumer has said, well, I'll only open it up if you give us $1.5 trillion and gut the one big beautiful bill like a fish. Well, Stuart, I'm not Bambi's baby brother. I'm not going to vote for that. I don't know any Republicans going to vote for that. Okay. So the Democrats have a decision to make. We're going to just stay shut down. I hate to see it. People are being hurt. But look, I voted yes to open it up 13 times. All of us have. I can't make Senator Schumer and my Democratic friends, I can't make them do it. They're looking foolish. I mean, I'm sure Jesus loves them, but to the American people, they're looking like idiots, in my opinion.
Well, and the polling suggests as much. Harry Enton on CNN the other day talking about the Republicans have actually gotten a bump in terms of the polling. Not that that should be the basis on which you make political decisions, but it is interesting that Republicans are not paying the price that I think Democrats thought they would pay by trying to characterize this as, Trump and King Trump and the MAGA Republicans, the extremists shutting down the government and so on and so forth, taking away your health care, ending the health care system as we know it, which would probably be a good thing in terms of the way it's structured, and SNAP benefits and, throwing poor people into the streets and all of the usual histrionics. And in fact, speaking of the usual histrionics, And by the way, the President Trump has seen a little bit of a bump within the margin of error. Congressional Republicans, a little bit of a bump, including outside the margin of error with independents. I think it's, again, a testament to if you relentlessly make the arguments, present the evidence, explain the logic, then you can move people to your way of thinking. You can help people see things for what they are. And I think a lot of people are starting to see the hysterics of a Chuck Schumer, Pagliacci, no tears this time, but for what they are. It's all hostage taking and lies and Martin Luther King Jr.
We are saying the Republicans can fund it now, and they're using these people as hostages. Plain and simple. Next. That's the answer. The answer is they can fund it right now. Okay? Right now.
On SNAP and on healthcare broadly.
And by the way, we don't want to pit healthcare and food. They do. We think you can have both. Yes.
On SNAP and on the ACA, Leader Thune said yesterday he had just spoken to President Trump and that the president would be willing to sit down with you next week to talk about ACA subsidies. Is that an acceptable offer for you? If the government opens, by the way, is that an acceptable offer for you?
We've always said, they always say, do it later. Do it later. Later, to quote Martin Luther King Jr. in his letter from the Birmingham jail, means never. They have had since March to do this. They've voted 3 times against it. So this idea, do it later, been there, done that. We have to do it now.
Yeah, well, you're seeing attrition. You've heard, we talked about the other day, the president of the American Federation of Government Employees wants this done, telling the Senate to pass the clean CR and let's get things moving again. You even have some gentle pushback from the likes of Jake Tapper on some of these members of Congress arguing about this $6 billion at the Department of Ag that's supposed to be for natural disasters that they say could be used for SNAP benefits and so on and so forth. But the larger point is that none of this wrangling would be necessary if they weren't trying to ultimately do exactly what Senator John Kennedy said, which is gut the big, beautiful bill in significant measure and restore funding for all sorts of things that Republicans didn't fund for purpose and are sticking with their original position. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro, answer line. And I got to tell you, a new X handle has popped up. And if the point of the Chinese Communist play with TikTok was to demoralize commonsensical Americans who play by the rules and pay the freight and try to be reasonable, it was to demoralize them by seeing how so many of their countrymen behave, seeing the quality of the case that so many of their countrymen can make on a particular issue. If the point was to inundate you on social media with mindlessness and profanity and comically like sort of comic level confusion about reality, to depress you with the sense of entitlement and the disregard for the rule of law and the vitriol, then I think the Communist Party over there in China has hit a home run with TikTok. I thought libs of TikTok was, somewhere between a guilty pleasure and an illustration of a depressing reality. EBT of TikTok may have that beat. Here's a sampling. Warning to Walmart.
I just seen a video about a guy. He says that he works at Walmart. He had to close the Walmart down because everybody came in shoplifting food because of people not getting their food stamps. I'm not sure if it's 100% true or not, but that's going to be happening a lot, especially if people don't get their benefits the beginning of November, which is kind of halfway seeming like they're not. It's about to be a lot of shoplifting. It's going to be a lot of stealing. And to be honest, I might join too. I ain't got no food in my refrigerator. I'm hungry. Okay, so I might give me a little pack of chicken or something. Okay.
Okay. It's Hold Back Security Guard Month in November if people don't get their SNAP benefits.
Walmart allegedly took notice of the No Snitch November. They will be adding security guards to in-store locations. So No Snitch November just became Help People Steal November. It just became Hold Security Back November. It just became Help People Live November. People deserve to eat. I don't give a f*** about Walmart's profit margins. I personally will hold back a security guard. I will fight back a security guard if they try to stop someone from stealing food they need to f***ing live. You should too.
Mm-hmm. Well, if, I come across a fat, honky dink like that guy playing Hold Back Security Guard November, I think I'm going to put fat, honky dink in Shopping Cart November. Be a team player.
Hey, cousins. So if you work in a grocery store, just know that you are still going to be paid that hourly rate, whether they steal that food or not. So mind your business and be a team player.
Mm-hmm. The grounding here. The ability to function in civil society called into question, I'd say.
Y'all may call me cold-hearted for this, but if I knew this was the situation that my children were going to have to grow up in, I would have aborted them as soon as I found out I was pregnant.
Depressed yet?
Y'all better reopen that government because I need my stamps. That's one thing y'all not finna do. Like, you crazy, I live off of these stamps. Open that. I bet you one thing. I bet you by November. No, before November, you got a couple of days. I'm gonna give you to November 1st to open the shit up because I need my stamps and I need it now. Well, we ain't finna play them games, bro. Nah, open the government back up. I need my stamps, bitch. I live off them stamp hole. Like, no, I'm not playing with y'all. Y'all think I'm for real, but I'm for real, but I'm not, and I'm not playing. I'm for real, actually.
Yeah, nothing leads me to support the SNAP program more than somebody saying, give me my stamps, bitch. I feel like I've made a good investment. Don't you, fellow taxpayer? Give me my stamps, ho. You know what time it is, though. It's flipping tables time.
And next week, when millions of people are going to have to resort to possibly stealing in order to feed themselves and their families, and the government complains, because they will complain about the crime rate going up, even though they're the ones who did it. Make sure you point your anger at the system and the people at the top, because they're the ones who took the food away from families and poor people and starving children. The poor people just want to eat. They just want to survive like the rest of us. They just want to keep living like the rest of us. So when you see them stealing, because you will, because they're going to have to, make sure your anger isn't directed at the individual. This goes so much deeper. It's time to flip some tables.
Time to flip some frickin' tables, huh? By the way, that individual, as so many of those offering videos on TikTok that are nicely archived for us by EBT of TikTok, rather Zoftig in physical presentation. It's almost like... Gosh, I don't know. It's like it's like it really is. It's almost like a metaphorical, the state fattening people up for the kill, which, being a dependent of the state is soul crushing. And I suppose what all of these vignettes represent is representation of just how soul-crushing it is. I mean, in one sense, I appreciate EBT of TikTok for curating this content. In another sense, it's going to be looking like the purge. It's not just flipping tables time, it's purge time.
Y'all, it's going to be looking like the purge out here pretty soon. It's going to be real bloody pretty soon. Y'all better watch y'all surroundings. Make sure your kids are safe. You feel what I'm saying? Because it's going to look like the purge pretty soon. I feel it, y'all. Oh my God.
Uh-huh. Oh my God. Another leftist threatening violence and other leftists threatening crime. What else is new? Symbolic takings, I think we learned from Nicole Hannah-Jones during the George Floyd mostly peaceful protests, right? Mm-hmm. And then, you get, a lot of these people seem to be SNAP beneficiaries. And then there are, the noblesse oblige activewear wine moms that get into the act and offer a profundity like this.
They're defunding all the programs. Why are we paying taxes? If they're defunding all of the programs, why are we paying taxes? If they're defunding all the programs, what are the taxes for?
I love the Biden-esque soda voce there. So powerful. Okay. By the way, this is something that may or may not happen and may not be for even sort of one distribution period. And this is the reaction you're getting. Mac in the 219.
Hey, Dan, I know you started a grocery chain called Give Me That Groceries. So what's the policy going to be at your place?
Thanks for the call, Mac. Well, exactly. I mean, I think the fault lies with the BLMs of the world, BLM Brandon, that is. Where is the Gimme Dat grocery store we were promised? Where the prices are so reasonable that, during government shutdown days, everybody gets a 5-finger discount, right? I assume. Why not? Corey Woodlawn.
Hey, thanks for taking the call, Dan. Roger Staunton has a good quote. You can't be reasoned out of what you weren't reasoned into. There's no reasoning with these individuals. And they're not talking about starting Liberty Gardens in their backyard trying to feed their family themselves. They're talking about going out here committing crime in their communities in neighborhoods that already have an abundant amount of crime. Thanks.
Yeah, thanks for the call, Corey. Yeah, I mean, it's really something, and it just gets crazier and crazier. I mean, here's a young woman who's got it all figured out. Are you ready? Get your push pins and your yarn, because we're going to be connecting some dots here. You ready?
You know what? I have time today. I don't know who needs to hear this, but they're not going to open the government back up. It's not going to happen. Also, the reason he's building that ballroom right there is to renovate the World War II bunker that's underneath of it. Yeah. And I'm sure everybody that gave him donations to help build this ballroom, this $300 million ballroom that shouldn't cost that much, I bet they all get a little spot in that bunker when things go sideways. Our military's already on the streets. People are about to be starving going into the Thanksgiving holiday. This is really giving pre-French Revolution, building grand ballrooms, having mass parties while your people starve outside the gates. And what, another $80 billion we just sent over to Argentina? Why would we need to do that unless they're planning to probably flee to Argentina when things go too sideways here? And my last little fun tidbit, Israel's got secret nukes. And guess where one of the few countries on the planet that their nukes don't reach? Argentina. And they just happen to have a huge German population down there. Huge European white population. And I do think that there was some other sinister people that chose Argentina to flee to when things got too sketchy for them as well. We need to wake up and we need to stop this before it gets too crazy, guys. We're watching this in real time. We're watching it in real time. Our military's on the streets. People are about to be starving. He's renovating a bunker. Yeah.
Yeah, before it gets too crazy. I wonder if that person is related to Candace Owens. I knew there was going to be an Israel element to it. Why did I know that? Lewis in Brenham, Texas.
Good morning, Dan. How are you doing this morning?
Good.
You know, I'm surprised that, everyone's complaining. There are plenty of jobs out there. You may not like the certain job that you can go get, but there are plenty of jobs for you to support your family. Listen, if my kids are going to be starving, I'm going to go work day labor. I'm going to go do something that I may not want to do, but I'm going to do it to provide for my kids. I'm not going to go robbing. I'm not going to go looting. I'm not going to do any of those things. I'm going to go get a job and provide for my kids. I don't know why they're sitting, going on Facebook and social media complaining about their situation. Do something about it. And if you don't like the situation that you're in, maybe you should change your lifestyle. Maybe you should get off the food stamps, get off the EBT, get off all that stuff, and go get a regular job like regular people.
Well, Lewis, I hear what you're saying, but you better watch your 20. Because if they don't get their EBT, don't get their SNAP benefits, don't get their stamps, this is going to turn into a Ralph Fiennes movie real quick. And the honky isn't going to be at the table. You feeling me? He's going to be on the menu.
I just wanted to come real fast just to make this video, just to make something very, very clear to the white man. Black Americans do not care about your government shutdown, and Black Americans do not care about you taking away our EBT and our government assistance, because Black Americans never depended on the American government to take care of us and feed us, because we never could. We were never able to depend on the government, in spite of what you may say and what you may try to force us to believe. So you can sit back and you can mock, you can laugh, and you can think that you're about to starve us to death. But I'm here to let you know that we are going to eat regardless, even if we have to hunt you animals down and roast and eat you. The delectable crackers and cheese. We will make it happen if we have to. Trust and believe me. And if it takes this government shutdown for Black people to finally come from under the government and understand that we don't need to be paying our taxes into this government, what we really need to be doing is taking care of one another, buying land and growing our own food and building our own nation. If this government shutdown and starvation is what it's going to take, then let the party begin. It's Black Power, baby, and we rise.
Okay, if you're going to have this white cracker with cheese, I would suggest for me, I go best with like a soft, creamy camembert. So just as you're thinking about preparations. Bill in LaSalle County.
Hi, I definitely agree with Senator Kennedy, and I'm very disturbed, but not surprised when they discovered how many illegal immigrants that was just put out the other day are on EBT. But as the father of two boys, one who works for the National Weather Service and has been working because he is an essential employee, I find it disgusting that the news media always just says air traffic controllers. They never include the National Weather Service employees or NOAA. And obviously with the Hurricane Melissa, NOAA employees are very vital. And my other son works at a Department of Defense DOE facility. He's soon to be furloughed because the government's not providing the money to the contractor that runs the facility. And that's also a vital, essential part of our federal government for all these other non-essential workers, as Ronald Reagan wanted to do many, many years ago. It's almost impossible to get rid of these slugs in government.
Thanks for the call, Bill. Appreciate it. Good luck to your boys there. Hope it resolves itself soon enough. Joe in Glen Ellen.
Dan, I don't have an impressive background like you do with college, but, right out of high school, I went into the Marine Corps, and I never looked back.
That's
I
impressive.
had more of a trade job. Out of the Marines, I went into IT, and I could tell you right now I'm making a lot more money than people that did go to college. And it just disgusts me when you got people sitting around that don't even want to go get a job. Like, get a job.
Yeah.
Oh, and by the way, Dan, you should have went to debate camp.
I know. I should have. I know, like Palmer Luckey. And I could have been really squared away. Thanks for the call, Joe. Yeah, I hear you. Text from 847, white people taste like chicken. I've heard that. Yeah. Coming up at 6:36, the Nazis take Milford, Connecticut. Now we check the headline.
Good morning. It is 47 degrees here in Chicago on AM 560 The Answer. I'm Stace Keene in the AM 560 newsroom. A legal battle is underway between a U.S. District Judge here in Chicago and Border Patrol Commander-at-Large Greg Bovino. Fox's Mike Tobin has the latest.
The Seventh Circuit Court of Appeals says Greg Bovino no longer has to report to the judge at the end of every workday, but he does have to hand over all the use of force reports dating back to September 2nd, turn over all the body camera footage, and she demanded Bovino start wearing a camera himself.
In Capital One, the Capital One Foundation and Chicago nonprofit Lever for Change have announced the launch of Scaling Pathways to Home Ownership. The initiative is part of Capital One's 5-year, $265 billion community benefits plan, which was developed as a part of its acquisition of Discover, which will create affordable housing, enable ready and resilient consumers, grow and sustain small businesses, and invest in community infrastructure. News is a service of AlmostFreeTeeth.com. Big savings on full mouth dental implants are here at AlmostFreeTeeth.com. Medical insurance can make what used to cost a fortune surprisingly affordable. Don't wait. Take the 60-second quiz to see if you qualify at AlmostFreeTeeth.com. A check of the roads is coming up in 2 minutes on AM 560, The Answer.
Mike Gallagher sees the double standard working again.
They think they can call all of us fascists and Hitlers and Nazis all day long. They can get violent. They can do whatever they want to do. Trump has some fun with an AI video, and they melt down like the Wicked Witch of the West getting a bucket of water dumped on her.
The Mike Gallagher Show, weekdays at 9 on AM 560. The Answer.
When it comes to industrial coating and finishing, cutting corners isn't an option. That's why leading manufacturers across the Midwest trust D&D Industrial Coatings in Racine, Wisconsin. From powder coating and liquid painting to blasting and custom finishing, D&D Industrial delivers top-tier protection and performance, fast, precise, and built to last. With over 40 years of experience, ISO-certified processes, and state-of-the-art lines, D&D handles everything from OEMs and petrochemical to agriculture, marine, construction, medical, and government specs. Family-owned, nationally trusted. Whether it's a short run or high volume, your parts are in expert hands, finished on time and finished right. Visit them today, ddindustrial.net. Again, that's ddindustrial.net. Or call them at 262-637-0686 to get your custom quote today. Again, that's 262-637-0686. D&D Industrial Coatings. Engineered to protect. Finished to impress.
If you're one of the millions of Americans behind on your taxes, if you're afraid to open your mail because IRS collection letters could be coming, listen carefully. The IRS is cracking down, taking paychecks, freezing bank accounts, revoking passports. That's a fact. But here's what most people don't know. There are official tax relief programs designed to help struggling taxpayers. Programs that could save you thousands if you qualify. No one knows these programs better than the experts at Optima Tax Relief. Optima Optima's award-winning team will fight to protect your paycheck, your passport, and your property. Their tax attorneys and licensed tax professionals will work tirelessly to get you the best deal possible with the IRS. Every day, penalties and interest keep piling up, so don't wait. Call Optima now for a free consultation.
Call 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Let me take a moment to talk about my friends at QC Kinetics. They're helping so many listeners regain their mobility free from joint pain. Does this sound like you? Where every time you move, it's a reminder of what hurts? A reminder of how far you've drifted from the life you once had? Well, relief is closer than you think, and it doesn't have to come from surgery. At QC Kinetics, Dr. Caravelli and her team tap into your body's own regenerative power using natural healing factors that help restore and repair damaged tissue, reduce inflammation, and relieve pain at its source. Stop masking the pain. Let QC Kinetics help you regain what pain took away. And this Veterans Day, QC Kinetics is giving back to our heroes. Veterans will get $500 off their treatment. And for every non-veteran who starts care, QC Kinetics will donate $500 to the Wounded Warrior Project. It's a great time to book your free consultation to learn how QC Kinetics can help. Call 312-827-6261. That's 312-827-6261. Once more, that phone number, 312-827-6261, and tell them I sent you when you call.
Protect your liver and give it the support it deserves with Active Liver from New Nordic. Find Active Liver in stores at your local CVS, Meijer Grocery, or online at Amazon or at newnordicusa.com.
In the Team Hochberg Traffic Center, your morning commute off to a pretty good start so far. There is fog in the far western suburbs. We've got some issues on the Tri-State Tollway this morning. Northbound lanes between Reagan Memorial and Eisenhower Expressway. There is slow traffic on the ramp to the outbound Ike. Brake lights coming alive on the Kennedy inbound between Cumberland and Lawrence Avenue, about a 5-minute delay. The Eaton's looking good in both directions, 15 minutes back and forth between Lake Cook to Montrose. Traffic building on the Eisenhower, inbound from the Jane Addams to the Old Post Office, about a 38-minute ride. Cars are hitting the pavement on the Stevenson this morning, especially 355 to DuSable Lakeshore, an 8-minute delay causing backups there. Finally, an accident in West Chicago causing issues. That's at Roosevelt Road at Technology Boulevard, so watch for delays there. This report sponsored by King's Hawaiian Sliders. Eli Manning reminds you there's nothing like football and King's Hawaiian Sliders. There's something about those soft, fluffy, irresistible King's Hawaiian Sliders that make them a winner on game day. Pick them up this weekend in the bakery or deli section of your favorite grocery store. King's Hawaiian, there's nothing like it. I'm John Cruz. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Now check out that forecast from the National Weather Service.
Today will be breezy with a mix of clouds and sun, reaching a high of 56. Tonight, expect cloudy skies early, then becoming partly cloudy later with a low of 42. Tomorrow, anticipate a blend of clouds and sunshine, perfect for Halloween activities with a high of 55. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. Please tell your friends in the greater Milford, Connecticut area, the town is infested with Nazi bootlickers. The Nazis are on the cusp of taking Milford, Connecticut, and we're not doing enough to stop them. That's according to a local Democratic committee member who hurled that invective at Andrew Fowler and other Republican alderhumans at a public meeting. He writes about this in the New York Post. What is the evidence, you ask? Please. The town's elected GOP alderman declined to approve a Democrat nominee, Tony Lombardi. I've heard she's very good. It's Tony with an I. To temporarily fill a vacant seat on the board. Nazis! Bootlicking MAGA Nazis! How dare you? You're destroying our democracy in Milford, Connecticut. Nadine Padowitz, a lunatic who is a member of the Milford Democrat Town Committee, called everybody homegrown. When you say it, you have to scream it like they do. Shriek it like a banshee because they don't have the ability to communicate at room temperature. homegrown Nazis. Trump is a thug who is destroying our democracy, quote. And those Republicans like Mr. Fowler, lick his boots, you boot-licking Nazi! Democracy! Then she said, you know what happens to not... Well, she screamed. I'll stop screaming at you. I'm losing my voice. I can't sustain that. You know what happens to Nazi bootlickers, Miss Padowitz, that person who's clinically insane. You know what happens to Nazi bootlickers? They get kicked in the teeth. Of course. Of course. Well, I'm right here, Miss Padowitz, so put your kicking boots on. Fowler writes, her words violated our town's rules of public comment, which prohibit personal attacks and derogatory language. Why? I know that's hardly unique to Milford, but why? Why pretend? Why keep up appearances? Let people show you who they are. I can take it. I can take Miss Padowitz. Worse, he writes, they crippled the civic spirit that has historically bound neighbors together, even when we disagree. Well, that civic spirit is hanging by a thread, isn't it? That civic spirit that bound neighbors together. The crowd reaction was just as disturbing. Attendees shouted and cheered their support for Padowitz's insults. The surprising thing here is this guy's surprise, isn't it? Well, I can see at the national level. I can see on a college campus. But here in little old Milford, Connecticut, that's not how we conduct our affairs. Yeah, it is. It damned well is. You think Milford, Connecticut, or the little hamlet that you're listening from in the audience, you think you're insulated from any of this? I love the people, I mean, even on our side, even people that are always sensible and decent and civic-minded, like you look around and you see things happening everywhere. I say this all the time. All of these issues, they're happening all around you, right? You're in the center of a ring of fire. Well, now the fire's at my doorstep. How'd that happen? Were you not watching the burn? Come on. The atmosphere grew so tense that police were called to intervene if necessary. A keffiyeh-wearing, of course, yeah, the keffiyeh-wearing local lingered in the hallway after the meeting shouting, shame, 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 like the townspeople in Game of Thrones. It was all in stark contrast to Milford's slogan, a small city with a big heart. Maybe it should be renamed, or the motto should be reframed. A city with a big heart and a small mind. That slogan fits a lot of communities. This episode of My Hometown is a microcosm of a larger collapse in civility. No kidding. What troubled me about the episode wasn't the political disagreement, however heated. It was the casual way these neighbors lobbed words like Nazi and fascist to describe my colleagues and me. The left has drained those terms of their original heinous meanings and has robbed the Holocaust victims of the moral gravity their suffering deserves. I'm not a Nazi. Okay. Andrew Fowler has officially gone on the record that he's not a Nazi. Let me rescind my suggestion that the Nazis have taken over. I was just whipped into a frenzy by Miss Padowitz. But apparently Andrew Fowler is indeed not a Nazi. Milford is safe for now, people. I'm not a Nazi. I'm a local elected official who votes on budgets, ordinances, and contracts. I'm not sending Jews to gas chambers, burning books, enforcing eugenics, or seeking to establish a master race. That's good to know. At heart, this is about the poison dehumanization wreaks. When we describe our opponents as monsters, violence becomes thinkable, even justified. No kidding. I mean, I'm glad that Mr. Fowler, an alderman from Milford, Connecticut, has finally awoken to the reality all around him. I know people listening to this show are probably a little bit more in touch than Mr. Fowler is, but he's a good example of somebody who's, presents as like an otherwise reasonable, sensible, professional guy. Thought it would be a nice civic thing to do to serve on his local board in Little Milford, Connecticut, and all of a sudden he's being accused of being part of the reincarnation of the Third Reich because he hasn't been really paying attention. Or he didn't know that happens there, but not here, because we have educated people who agree to disagree, who live in this small city with a big heart. Yeah. Okay. I am sure people listening have people like Andrew Fowler in their social circles. You should pass this along to them. Maybe it will encourage a little bit more substantive engagement from them wherever they find themselves. A little bit more appreciation of what's actually happening there culturally. And again, the culture does not know geographic boundaries. It seeps into every nook and cranny. Bank on it. Dan Proft, Chicago's Morning Answer.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer.
Your show keeps me alive during the week. There's nobody I'd rather listen to between 5 and 9 in the morning than you guys.
On AM 560, The Answer.
Dan owed an unbelievable amount of money to the IRS.
I got behind on my taxes. It's a horrible feeling.
He was in denial.
And when I got those letters from the IRS, you wanted to act like they didn't exist.
Finally, Dan turned to Optima Tax Relief, the leading tax resolution firm. A-plus rated by the Better Business Bureau, they've resolved over $1 billion for their clients.
Optima got me a settlement with the IRS. These people are really people-friendly. It was every bit of a new lease on life for me.
The fast action and the great results made Dan's head spin.
I felt like I was in a dream, but it's real, and I have paperwork to prove it. They got the job done, and life is good.
For tax help you can trust, call Optima now for a free consultation.
If you're worried about what's going to happen with the IRS, stop worrying. Make the call now.
Call 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433.
Optima Tax Relief.
Testimonial from an actual client. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
MyPillow is excited to announce they're having their biggest 3-in-1 sale ever with a limited edition product, a back-in-stock special, and a closeout deal you won't find anywhere else. My Slippers, only $39.98. Any color, any style. Regular $149.98. Now only $39.98. That's a $110 savings. Once they're gone for good. My Towels are finally back in stock, but not for long. Get a 6-piece My Towel set, regular $69.98, now only $39.98. And for the first and only time, get their limited edition premium My Pillows made with Giza cotton and a designer gusset. Queens $17.98, Kings only $19.98. Also, for limited time, when your order is over $100, you'll receive free shipping plus $100 in free digital gifts. So go to MyPillow.com or call 800-489-0201 and use promo code LIBERTY. That number again is 800-489-0201. Promo code LIBERTY.
Salem News Channel is America's fastest growing conservative TV network.
It's an absolute crazy day.
Home to the largest lineup of free speech champions anywhere, delivering in-depth insight and unapologetic opinion on today's biggest news stories.
Americans aren't going to put up with this anymore.
SNC brings you the news that matters, told with integrity and clarity. Watch Salem News Channel free 24/7 on your television. Stream now on Samsung TV Plus, channel 1177.
Hi, this is Sean Thompson. When you take your grandkids to Disney, do they know what's in your investment portfolio? Do they even care? They're busy having a great time, and you're busy making memories. At Alpha Wealth Group, Tom Fortino understands the nuts and bolts of retirement planning. The investments, the stock market, taxes, Social Security, Medicare, and much more. But think about it. What are you really trying to do here? Is your goal to beat the S&P, or is your goal to make memories with your family? At Alpha Wealth Group, their goal is to give you the confidence to spend in retirement without the fear of running out of money. Call Tom Fortino and the team at Alpha Wealth Group to learn more. You can do it today. Call 630-864-6711. The number again, 630-864-6711. To schedule a no-obligation consultation. You can do it today online as well at alphawealthgroup.com. That's alphawealthgroup.com.
Honey, why does it take you so long to get ready?
Because I've got one tiny sink. I'm trying to balance makeup on the back of the toilet, and the mirror's always fogged up.
Sounds like a circus act.
Exactly. And I perform every morning.
At Forever Remodeling, we create bathrooms that fit your life, not the other way around. From extra storage to spa-like showers and timeless finishes, we make your mornings easier. Visit foreverremodeling.com. That's the number 4, everremodeling.com.
At Signature Bank, going the distance for business banking customers is what we do every day. We understand that business owners have a strategic mission, a drive to succeed, a plan for growth, and don't have time to wait for a bank to respond. With Signature Bank, you not only have a banking partner that has roots right here in Chicago, but our decisions are made locally too. Signature Bank knows that when you have a question or problem about your business, you want answers. You need someone who will pick up the phone or respond to your text. You need someone who is always there for you. That's Signature Bank. We are a team that wants to get to know you and your business. Want to be Signature Bank's next success story? Give us a call today at 773-467-5630 or visit us online at signaturebank.bank. Member FDIC Equal Housing Lender.
Did you know that AM 560 Radio has a full-service digital marketing division called Salem Surround? If you're a business decision maker, listen up. AM 560 listeners are everywhere your potential audience is. So are our incredible targeting capabilities. We localize digital marketing and put it within reach of every business, small and large, in Chicagoland and beyond. Salem Surround offers AI-powered marketing solutions that reach your ideal audience. Whether or not you tap into the proven live, local, and emotional connection that AM 560 Radio brings, Salem Surround offers a total marketing solution to our partners, all-in-one digital solutions that provide targeted local digital and social media ads, Google AdWords management, website services, video strategy, search optimization, and even a management dashboard to offer you total campaign updates and transparency. Your Salem Surround representative is located right here in Chicago. Experience the Salem Surround digital revolution today. Call 847-472-8951. That's 847-472-8951.
AM 560, The Answer.
It's time for Animal Stories with Uncle Dan.
Yeah, I apologize, ripping this off from Larry Lujak, but that monkey sound. It sounded like those monkeys that escaped in Mississippi that are all jacked up on COVID and Hep C. Anyway, no. This edition of Animal Stories is the barred owl versus the spotted owl. Which side are you on? Without breaking into song, Jan Schakowsky-esque. Are you with the barred owl or the spotted owl? Well, you know what I'm talking about. The Department of Interior issued a plan to kill about 450,000 North American barred owls. This was under Biden. And Doug Burgum, who's the Secretary of the Interior, is moving ahead with that plan. But Senator John Kennedy from Louisiana is none too pleased. He took to the Senate floor to make the case to save the barred owl. And he had pictures of the barred owl. And he had pictures of the spotted owl. And he also had a picture of Elmer Fudd for some reason.
The Department of Interior is mad at the barred owl because the barred owl's a better hunter. The barred owl is just a better hunter. That's just the way it is. Just like the Senate president is better looking than me, I accept that. That's the way God made us. God just made the barred owl a better hunter. And the Department of Interior is all up in arms. They say this is threatening the spotted owl. Now, the spotted owl isn't on the endangered species list, but they say this isn't fair. The barred owl is a better hunter than the spotted owl, and that's causing the spotted owl's population to decrease. So the Department of Interior, in its infinite wisdom, has come up with DEI for owls. They've come up with quotas for owls. The barred owl, because nature, God, whatever you believe in, made them better hunters, now has to give up its rights, has to give up its life, because the spotted owl is not as good of a hunter.
Who will join Senator John Kennedy in saving the barred owl? Well, not enough senators, both sides, to pass his resolution to block the elimination of 450,000 barred owls. John Kennedy explained a little bit more backstory. He's really amped up over the barred owl. Barred owls are expanding their habitat because the forests in the east have been cut down. That's called adaptive range expansion. Wow. And you know what? Whether you believe in God or nature or whatever, that happens every single day in our ecosystem. It's a naturally occurring ecological phenomenon. It's a core behavioral characteristic of animals. The barred owls are not hurting anybody. They're just doing what nature teaches them to do. We're going to change nature? We're going to control our environment to this extent? We're going to pass DEI for owls? We're going to pass quotas for owls? Barred owls won't lose their constitutional rights. They will kill them. They will kill 453,000 of them, dead as Jimmy Hoffa. Is Jimmy Hoffa dead? And John Kennedy's making a sort of a free market argument, you know. The ecosystems regulate themselves. They don't need the Department of Interior's intervention. And I got to tell you, I'm sympathetic not only, against the indiscriminate killing of animals. I'm not for that either. Although I do know, you understand you have to cull some populations to control them in certain circumstances. But, that spotted owl has been a real pain in the back for a while. I remember when the spotted owl, stopped all sorts of development projects in the Pacific Northwest when it was on the endangered species list. Greg in Hampshire.
Dan, why can't we get SNP benefits for the spotted owl?
Exactly. Very good, Greg. A way to combine the two issues. That's smart. Yeah. So they don't have to hunt. They can just post videos on TikTok demanding they be provided food. Yeah, that seems a more American way to do it these days, doesn't it? All right, coming up at 7:07, we'll talk to our friend and economist Steve Moore. We'll talk about the Fed's rate cutting. We'll talk about President Trump's deal in principle with President Xi. That's all at 7:07. It's now 7 a.m. on AM 560 WIND Chicago.
The U.S. and China might sign a trade deal as soon as next week. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. That's what Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent just told Fox Business.
All the congratulations should go to President Trump. He has a fine relationship with President Xi.
This following the Trump sit-down with China's leader in South Korea today.
I guess on the scale of from 0 to 10, with 10 being the best, I would say the meeting was at 12.
That was the president as he now flies back home as Asia trips over. Fox's Lucas Tomlinson reports from South Korea.
President Trump said China has agreed to immediately purchase large quantities of soybeans, which is great news for American farmers at harvest time. Aboard Air Force One, Trump also said Xi is willing to curb the export of those harmful Chinese chemicals used to make fentanyl. As a result, American tariffs on China will be lowered.
I put a 20% tariff on China because of the fentanyl coming in, which is a big tariff. And based on his statements today, I reduced it by 10%.
The president also told reporters and posted on Truth Social he's ordering the War Department to resume nuclear weapons testing immediately for the first time in 33 years, citing tests adversaries are doing. The U.S. military's taken on another drug boat off the Venezuelan coast, suspecting of carrying illegal narcotics, killing 4 more suspected traffickers.
Secretary of War Pete Hegseth announcing on social media that the military carried out a lethal kinetic strike on yet another narco-trafficking vessel operated by a designated designated terrorist organization in the Eastern Pacific. The campaign's left more than 60 people dead so far and destroyed 15 vessels.
That's Fox's Lillian Wu. Hurricane Melissa is now blamed for dozens of deaths from Haiti to Jamaica, where it hit as one of the most powerful storms ever.
For miles upon miles, it is nothing but homes destroyed and people in peril. There is very little limited resources here as far as water and food.
Fox Weather's Robert Ray in St. James Parish, Jamaica. Cuba was also hit. America's listening to Fox News.
Good morning. It is 47 degrees in Chicago on AM 560, The Answer. I'm Stace Keene in the AM 560 newsroom. Because of the federal government shutdown, about 42 million people may start going hungry this weekend. Fox's Jill Nato reports on ways to help and get help.
As federal SNAP benefits are about to run out this Saturday, the United Way is encouraging people to hand out shelf-stable foods along with the candy this coming Halloween. They recommend kid-friendly foods like ramen cups, protein bars, pudding packs, or microwave mac and cheese. And a couple of food delivery services are stepping up too. DoorDash will deliver 1 million free meals through food banks and waive fees on grocery orders for an estimated 300,000 SNAP recipients. GoPuff is donating up to $10 million in free groceries to hundreds of thousands of SNAP recipients by way of a $50 credit for groceries. Jill Nato, Fox News.
Here in Chicago, area food banks are bracing for a surge in demand should SNAP be halted. And Illinois has joined 25 other states in suing the federal government to stop the Department of Agriculture from halting the program. The Kavanaugh-Sorge Law Group has announced that they filed lawsuits on behalf of 5 plaintiffs who suffered burns and emotional distress following a fire that started at a food station at the Offshore Rooftop Restaurant, which is located at Navy Pier last month. According to the complaints, the fire started at a food station that was set up for guests to roast marshmallows for s'mores. The complaints allege a Maverick employee poured a combustible accelerant, possibly alcohol, on the open flame, which caused an immediate and dangerous flashover where flames shot into the air and set some of the plaintiffs on fire. News is a service of Goldilocks, offering Chicagoland's state-of-the-art smart security systems to protect your home or business. AM 560 listeners receive 3 months of monitoring free with new installs. Get peace of mind by calling Goldilocks at 708-889-5600. Again, that's 708-889-5600. A check of the roads is coming up in 2 minutes on AM 560, The Answer.
Get your tickets for Freedom Summit Chicago 2025, happening on Saturday, November 8th at Westin Chicago Northwest and Itasca. This year, featuring Dr. Ben Carson, Scott Jennings, Mike Gallagher, along with Dan Proft, Sean Thompson, John Anthony, and many more. This event will sell out fast, so get your tickets today at freedomsummitchicago.com. That's freedomsummitchicago.com. Sponsored in part by Quick Delivery Service Incorporated and by Virago.
An official message from Medicare.
Couple more minutes and we'll start this month's book club.
You know, I usually love a plot twist, but this year I'm comparing my options during Medicare open enrollment.
You can't assume your current health or drug plan is the best one for you.
And you gotta make sure your drugs are covered. That's important.
So is saving money.
Review all your options at Medicare.gov. Open enrollment ends December 7th. Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
The Tunnel to Towers Foundation honors America's heroes. Heroes like U.S. Army Warrant Officer 1 Stuart Waymond. After joining the Army, Stuart graduated from Army Aviation School and had a distinguished career until a mid-air collision during a training exercise took Stuart's life. He leaves behind his wife Kira and their 3 sons. Tunnel to Towers paid the mortgage on Stuart's family home. Help more families like Stuart's. Donate $11 a month to Tunnel to Towers at T2T.org. That's T2T.org.
MyPillow is excited to announce they're having their biggest 3-in-1 sale ever with a limited edition product, a back-in-stock special, and a closeout deal you won't find anywhere else. My Slippers, only $39.98. Any color, any style. Regular $149.98. Now only $39.98. That's a $110 savings. Once they're gone for good. My Towels are finally back in stock, but not for long. Get a 6-piece My Towel set, regular $69.98. Now only $39.98. $49.98. And for the first and only time, get their limited edition premium MyPillows made with Giza cotton and a designer gusset. Queens $17.98, Kings only $19.98. Also, for a limited time, when your order is over $100, you'll receive free shipping plus $100 in free digital gifts. So go to MyPillow.com or call 800-489-0201 and use promo code LIBERTY. That number again is 800-489-0201. Promo code LIBERTY.
Dinesh D'Souza went into a war zone to make his new film, revealing never-before-seen footage of October 7th. The film offers a new way to understand Israel, radical Islam, anti-Semitism, and biblical prophecy.
Could the fate of the world be tied to this place?
The Dragon's Prophecy, based on Jonathan Cahn's international bestseller. Watch it now or buy the DVD at salemnow.com. That's salemnow.com.
When the power goes out, life stops. Heat, AC, fridge, phones, all gone. But with a Generac home standby generator from True Power Generator Service, your home powers back on automatically, so you're never left in the dark. Book your consultation today at TruePowerGenerator.com. That's TruePowerGenerator.com. Plus, 560 listeners get a free 10-year extended warranty. Terms and conditions apply. Call for details. True Power Generator Service and Generac. It's not just a generator, it's a power move.
This is Ed Morrissey of HotAir.com for Town Hall. 13 times, Republicans have offered Chuck Schumer and Senate Democrats that many opportunities to reopen the government with a clean continuing resolution. 13 times, and Schumer and his caucus chose again and again to keep the federal government closed, all in an attempt to force Donald Trump and the GOP to repudiate their reconciliation bill reforms. This game of chicken only gets worse for Democrats. Federal workers will miss another paycheck at the end of the week. Their largest union demanded that Senate Democrats pass the CR to no avail. Worse yet, payments for food stamps will halt on Saturday unless the Senate can restore its funding. That will impact some 30 million Americans and what's on their kitchen tables immediately. Senate Majority Leader John Thune told reporters that several Democrats want to end the standoff, but they fear retribution from the radical left if they end the filibuster. Perhaps they should fear the hardworking, working-class American voters they're throwing under the bus instead.
From the Team Hartford Traffic Center, checking your roads heading out the door this Thursday on the Edens outbound. We've got some issues if you're going to be between Pratt Avenue and Niles Center. About a 5-minute backup due to delays. The Kennedy inbound O'Hare from the Burn, about a 34-minute drive thanks to a 15-minute backup. Also the express lanes of Kennedy inbound between North Avenue and Ontario Street. How about the Eisenhower inbound lanes between Manheim and Kedzie, about an 18-minute delay there. Also inbound Ike from Wolf to the old post office, about a 33-minute drive thanks to an 18-minute delay. On the Dan Ryan, it is stop and go, especially if you are inbound local lanes between 51st and 18th Street. DuSable Lakeshore backing up northbound lanes between Foster and Hollywood. And lingering issues on the Tri-State Tollway northbound between Reagan Memorial and Eisenhower. There's slow traffic on the ramp to the outbound Ike. This traffic update is service of Quick Delivery Service. When you need same-day delivery, when you need the fastest service, when you need the last-minute delivery, go to QuickDelivery.com and get a quote right now. That's QuickDelivery.com. I'm John Cruz. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Now a check of that forecast from the National Weather Service.
Today will be breezy with a mix of clouds and sun, reaching a high of 56. Tonight, expect cloudy skies early, then becoming partly cloudy later with a low of 42. Tomorrow, anticipate a blend of clouds and sunshine, perfect for Halloween activities with a high of 55. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. We're going to talk about the Trump-Xi meeting as well as Fed Chairman Jay Powell's comments yesterday after announcing another 25 basis point rate cut, but being a little 50-50 about another rate cut in December. Really talking about employment and his tools, and I mean, there's a tool here, that's for sure. But I wanted to include this, too. It's rather jarring. And I know this is a favorite issue of Stephen Moore's to discuss. Bill Gates recently posting, just the other day, there's a doomsday view of climate change that goes like this. In a few decades, cataclysmic climate change will decimate civilization. The evidence is all around us. Just look at all the heat waves and storms caused by rising global temperatures. Nothing matters more than limiting the rise in temperature. That's the doomsday view, in Gates' own words. Since he's been party to it, I assume he has a pretty good handle on the verbiage. But then he writes, fortunately for all of us, this view is wrong. The hell you say? Yeah. He goes on, although climate change will have serious consequences, particularly for people in the poorest countries, it will not lead to humanity's demise. Don't tell AOC that. People will be able to live and thrive in most places on Earth for the foreseeable future. Emissions projections have gone down, and with the right policies and investments, innovation will allow us to drive emissions down much further. Unfortunately, the doomsday outlook is causing much of the climate community to focus too much on near-term emissions goals, and it's diverting resources from the most effective things we should be doing to improve life in a warming world. Wow. Bill Gates, who just 5 minutes ago was buying up land in the Pacific Northwest so he could bury trees to reduce emissions, had somewhat of an awakening. He is talking not quite, but a little bit like our friend Bjorn Lomborg from the Copenhagen Consensus Center, who has been saying this for a long time. In part, commenting on Bill Gates, climate change will not lead to humanity's demise. I mean, this is a blaring headline in the New York Times because it represents a complete reversal in Bill Gates' rhetoric. Lomborg notes, for example, the opportunity cost of this eco-supremacy ideology that has taken hold in the West. The World Bank, for example, spent $43 billion on climate and combating climate change. That was money not spent on preventing disease and hunger. Globally, $2 trillion spent on climate policy, not spent on basic education and maternal health care. You can't spend money twice. Not only where it was spent, but what it wasn't spent on, the opportunity cost of it. And apparently that has finally penetrated the consciousness of Bill Gates, at least to a certain extent, to make his views a little bit more human-centric, which is a nice development. For more on this topic, and the others I mentioned, pleased to be joined by Steve Moore, economist, author of The Trump Economic Miracle and the Plan to Unleash Prosperity Again, co-author with Art Laffer. Hey, Steve, you and Bill Gates can hang out again.
Yeah, I want a little bit of that $80 billion he has in his foundation. I mean, this is a gigantic store, Dan, and it is maybe the death knell of the alarmism of the climate change movement. Bill Gates was basically single-handedly funded this movement. Well, Bill Gates and all the big governments of the world funded this, and it has not changed anything in terms of the temperature of the planet. And you made a really important point, though. If we had spent 1/10 as much of the money that we've spent on climate change, which is probably, by my estimate, well over $1 trillion over the last 10 years. If we had spent that money on things like disease eradication, fighting hunger, how about bringing electric power? There's still 20% of the world population still doesn't have access to, basic electricity. If we had done that, that would have raised living standards around the world in a way. It would have been genuine aid. Instead, these climate change people are crazy. They go into these countries in Africa and say, "Oh, don't build a coal plant. Don't have a natural gas plant. Why don't you build solar power?" And they're like, "Wait a minute. We just need something that works." So this is, and by the way, the left crazy climate change people are apoplectic about this.
I'm sure. I can't imagine.
Oh my God.
The tongue lashing that Bill Gates is going to receive from Greta Thunberg. I mean, I hope he's ready.
Exactly, and that can be a nasty thing. But I have to say, I really respect Bill Gates for basically saying, you know what, I was wrong. I was wrong about this. That the alarmists, I could have done a lot better things with my $80 billion than spend it on this. And hopefully this will now be diverted. This money in his foundation will be diverted to free market, free enterprise causes that will lift people out of poverty and make people better off.
Yeah, it's sort of a Michael Schellenberger moment for Bill Gates, it is a big development. It's nice to see because he is, he has such substantial resources to distribute. Maybe the electricity thing, you make that, but Bjorn Lomborg makes that point all the time. He also makes the point that a lot more people die from cold than from heat, extreme cold versus extreme heat, because of things that they don't have, like electricity. Maybe we could get the left on board if we fooled them and say, we want to bring electricity to the areas of the world that don't have it, so they have a greater ability to perform trans surgeries on children. Maybe if we maybe then we could get them on board with electrifying places of the world that don't have electricity. The creature comforts.
There's another irony of the whole infatuation with wind and solar power, which obviously people. It can work as a niche form of energy, but it's not very reliable. And so what happened in a lot of these African and Asian countries is the World Bank and the UN were going, oh no, don't use fossil fuels. And so you know what they did in a lot of these countries? They burned wood. And that puts way more carcinogens into the air than coal and natural gas. So it actually ended up making the air dirtier, not cleaner. These people are geniuses.
Well, as Trump said during his address at the UN, the greatest hoax in history. It's right up there. If it's not the greatest, it's right up there. All right, so let's talk about Jay Powell. Here's what he had to say. I was a bit confused, but here's what he had to say in support of the rate cut yesterday, even though he's not committed to another rate cut in December, and the markets didn't like that.
One of them is just a dramatic reduction in the supply of new workers. And that's two things. That's declining labor force participation, which is a cyclical thing, and then there's declining immigration, which is just a big policy change that actually began in the last administration and it has been accelerated now. So a big part of the whole story is that supply side story. Okay. In addition, labor demand has declined, and the unemployment rate has gone down, meaning that demand for workers has gone down a little more than supply. So that's what's going on. But it is mostly a supply function. It's mostly a function of the change in supply, I think, and many people think. So the question then is, what does the our tool do, which supports demand? And and I would just say, when you're in a situation where job creation, if you adjust for likely overcounting in the way that BLS does its work, is pretty close to zero. So maximum employment doesn't, on a sustainable basis, if you're creating zero jobs, if it's in equilibrium, if it's in balance, it's a pretty, as I said before, a pretty curious balance. So, I thought, and many of my colleagues thought, in fact, you've seen the last two meetings, that it was appropriate for us to react by supporting demand with our rates, and we've done that. We've reduced so that rates are looser. I wouldn't say that they're accommodative right now, but they're meaningfully less tight than they were, and that should help so that at least the labor market doesn't get worse. Though it's a complicated situation, and some people argue that this is supply and we really can't affect it much with our tools, but others argue, as I do, that there is an effect from demand and that we should use our tools to support the labor market when we see this happening.
Okay, so demand is moving down.
What saying? You got that, folks?
Yeah, demand is moving down faster than supply is. It's mainly a supply issue, but our tool deals with demand, so this should help to buttress demand. What in God's name? This is all mysticism.
Well, he reminds me a little bit of Alan Greenspan, where we go, what did he just say? Look, I think fundamentally, I think he's got it pretty right. I really believe what's going on right now is there is a shortage of supply of workers in most places, and that's because of demographics. There's 11,000 Americans retiring every day as the boomers retire, and we only have 8,000 young people entering the workforce. So, you do that over month after month after month, and it does cause a shortage of labor. It's also true that, having fewer immigrants coming into the country reduces the supply of labor, and we need immigrant labor. They work hard. They're great workers for our construction industries and manufacturing and all sorts of things. But I think fundamentally what's going on with the Fed is they believe that growth of the economy causes inflation, and they're simply wrong about that. I mean, if the economy produces more apples, the price of apples goes down. It doesn't go up. And I think you need a fundamental shift. You need a change over at the Fed. It has to happen as soon as possible. Jerome Powell, frankly, doesn't know what he's doing. And why not have somebody like a Larry Kudlow or a Steve Forbes in there who knows how the economy works?
Well, I agree, although I don't think they're on the short list. But, yeah, that would be fine. But that's not till May. Any of the people that Trump is talking about right now, Kevin Hassett, Kevin Wirth, they're all vast improvements. But the other thing is, look, people overly obsess about what the Fed is. Well, that's where I was going. I mean, how much impact is this really going to have? This is all psychological.
It is. It is really. That's true. And the Fed can do damage, but nobody really borrows at the federal funds rate, so it doesn't really. And incidentally, the last time they did their big round of rate cuts, people are like, oh, this will reduce mortgage rates, but mortgage rates went up, not down, after they lowered the short-term rates because people were worried about inflation. So the Fed should be doing one thing, and that is protecting the value of the dollar and making the dollar stable in value. That's why you have a currency. It's so simple. And they just can't get that right. So Trump is right to try to get rid of Powell. I think he has about 5 months left, and I'm counting the days on my calendar that he's gone.
Yeah, he's May, right. All right, let's talk Trump sit down with Xi. So the report is that in exchange for the Chi-Coms buying more American farm products, continuing to export rare earths, and stopping fentanyl from entering the U.S. I don't know exactly how they're going to do that, but in exchange for those promises, the U.S. is going to lower tariffs imposed this year from 20% to 10%, which brings the total combined tariff rate on China down from 57% to 47%. He called the meeting on a scale of 0 to 10 a 12. What's your number on this meeting?
Well, I have to confess, I don't know all the final details, so it's hard for me to really assess what happened. I mean, the markets, I think, will be happy, but there's two problems. One is that none of us know the full details, and the second problem is it doesn't matter what China says they're going to do. I mean, they're like the old Soviet Union; it's what they will do. And so if they do stop discriminating against us, if they bring, they have huge tariffs on American products, so. And incidentally, how about if they sell us less fentanyl and more rare earth minerals?
Well, yes, but I mean, the idea that they're going to stop, that even if they wanted to, and I'm not saying they do, even if they wanted to, the idea that they're going to stop the drugs from flowing into the United States. I mean, let's get real.
Well. Right? I mean, come on, Dan. They have been, a lot of people think, look, China, this is an evil government they have over
I
there.
understand that.
They want
yes.
to destroy. So I think that they're importing this poison into the United States. And I think this is a sinister government, and that's why it makes me nervous when Trump sits down with them, because they lie, they cheat, they steal. I mean, I really believe China is like, Japan circa 1937. They're a very dangerous country. And Xi is basically a tyrant.
No, I mean, I agree with all that. I'm just saying. I mean, this is okay. I mean, we'll see. I think this is. I think this.
They could make a bit better effort to make sure that the fentanyl is not getting on the ships and being imported over here, and they ought to do that because they're
Well, of course they shouldn't be in bed with the Russians. They shouldn't be in bed with the cartels. But they are. They should be in bed with North Korea. But so it's like all these things. It's sort of the appearance of stability with, the just bubbling below the surface is all the acrimony and the backbiting and the warring, really, by other means. That's going on, and I don't see that changing in a material way. But okay. What about Canada?
I wanted to mention something to you, Dan, if I could. Because you and I think, are about the same age, and so we.
Well, same age. You're many years my senior, sir. Nice try.
But do you know the group? Do you remember the group Bachman Turner Overdrive?
I do.
I remember their hit song "Taking Care of Business," and so
please don't sing it.
Good news, they played it in D.C. and it turns out Randy Bachman, who wrote all that music, he was also with the Guess Who and wrote These Eyes, and so he had about 10 amazing hits that he wrote. He's a conservative. He's a free market guy.
Oh, that's good. All right, we'll have to have him on the show. There you go, Randy Bachman. Let's get him on. Quickly, before we let you go, though, just one more country on the trade circuit. Canada. Are we going to learn to love the Canadians again?
Not if they run those nasty commercials with Ronald Reagan in them.
That's right.
Listen, I thought that was actually, don't tell Donald Trump I said this, but I thought that was a pretty effective ad. Reagan, I worked at the end of the Reagan administration, and Reagan was a free trader. Not always. He wasn't perfect. We did have, Trump is right, we did have some import restrictions on Japan. Because remember back then, Japan was going to take over the whole world, remember? And so, we did have some trade restrictions, but Reagan fundamentally believed in the virtues of free trade, and I think that Trump should too.
Stephen Moore, economist, author of The Trump Economic Miracle and the Plan to Unleash Prosperity, again, co-authored with Art Laffer. Steve, thanks as always.
Okay, Dan, have a great day. Take care.
You too. And Steve joined us on the Turnkey.pro answer line.
Before you see it on TV, share it on Facebook, or read about it in the paper. Hear it here first. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
That's cold! Don't get stuck with a cold shower this fall. Give CenterGuard Plumbing a call. Get a new 40-gallon water heater installed for just $1,195 for standard installation, or a 50-gallon heater for $1,295 standard installation. A proud new sponsor of AM 560, CenterGuard is offering specials on new water heaters. Don't wait. The cold temperatures are coming, and the same can happen to your water heater. If you're having hot water issues or your water heater's over 8 years old, take advantage of this fall special today. CenterGuard Plumbing is Chicagoland's same-day water heater experts. Call before noon, and they can schedule your repair or install the same day on in-stock water heaters. They'll even haul away your old one, no charge. You're only a text away from install today. Call 847-406-8883. Mention AM 560 to receive fall special pricing. That's 847-406-8883. Call or text 847-406-8883 or visit CenterGuardPlumbing.com.
Do you owe $10,000 or more in credit card debt or personal loans? With credit card debt at all-time highs, Debt Relief Advocates is urgently notifying consumers of debt relief now being made available, designed to aid consumers with out-of-control credit card debt. Those who qualify and enroll for this relief program will only have to pay back a fraction of what they owe. This is not bankruptcy or a debt consolidation loan. This is a relief program that credit card companies would rather you not know about, as it ends your debt nightmare and saves you lots of money. Consumers owing at least $10,000 in credit card debt or personal loans can now take advantage of this debt relief as the cost of living skyrockets. Debt Relief Advocates has established a relief hotline for you to call to learn what debt reduction you may qualify for, so don't wait. For this free information, call the Relief Hotline at 800-515-1865. 800-515-1865. 800-515-1865.
The following advertisement includes a celebrity impersonation.
Nothing beats the comfort of a perfectly heated home.
And when it comes to heating your home, Air Right Heating and Cooling does it the best.
And they love our country. Beautiful people.
Air Right Heating and Cooling is fast. When your furnace breaks down, they'll fix it right away.
Just like that. Big time results. No waiting around. You get the job done right. And let's face it, who doesn't love being warm, right? It's beautiful. When it's freezing, I crank up that amazing furnace. Burn, baby, burn. Trust me, you'll say, wow, I've never felt this warm in my life.
If you like keeping your hard-earned money, then contact Air Right Heating and Cooling. Tell them AM 560 sent you, and right now you'll receive $56 off any service.
Unbelievable.
Visit Air Right Heating and Cooling today at AIR-RITE.com. Again, that's AIR-RITE.com. Air Right Heating and Cooling. Doing it right since 1959.
AM 560, The Answer.
Coming up at 7:37, I previewed it earlier. The good example, a model that could be replicated in scale when it comes to education of young people. Chicago Hope Academy, I mentioned it many times over the years, founded by Bob Mazikowski, now presided over. The principal is Ike Mazikowski, or as he's known on Instagram, Ike on the mic. You got to see some of these videos of him dancing with the kids on Instagram. They're wild. They're incredible. Very good, actually. Really good dancer. I'm sort of jealous as a former wannabe breakdancer. Anyway, we'll talk a little bit about dancing, probably more about education in Chicago and in urban centers. Ike Mazikowski, Chicago Hope Academy, 7:37. Now we check the headlines.
Good morning. It is 48 degrees here in Chicago on AM 560 The Answer. I'm Stace Keene in the AM 560 newsroom. The 7th Circuit U.S. Court of Appeals has granted a temporary stay to Judge Sarah Ellis's order that U.S. Border Patrol Commander Gregory Bovino report in person daily on federal immigration enforcement actions. The decision came shortly before Bovino was scheduled to appear before Ellis yesterday afternoon. The ruling ordered the plaintiffs in the case filed by the Chicago Headline Club to respond by 5 p.m. this afternoon. Capital One, the Capital One Foundation, and the Chicago nonprofit Lever for Change have announced the launch of Scaling Pathways to Homeownership. It's a $25 million open call designed to identify and support bold solutions that expand access to affordable homeownership here in the U.S. Now, this initiative is part of Capital One's 5-year, $265 billion community benefits plan, which was developed as part of its acquisition of Discover. News is a service of AlmostFreeTeeth.com. Big savings on full mouth dental implants are here at AlmostFreeTeeth.com. Medical insurance can make what used to cost a fortune surprisingly affordable. Don't wait. Take the 60-second quiz to see if you qualify at AlmostFreeTeeth.com. A check of the roads is coming up in 2 minutes on AM 560, The Answer.
This week on Capitol Hill is the best way to get informed on everything going on with Congress. Hosted by Tony Perkins and the Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson.
This is not your grandfather's Democratic Party. It truly has become the far left, Marxist left, that are running that whole operation. And it has real effects on real people.
Stay informed and become a regular listener. This week on Capitol Hill. Sundays at 1 on AM 560. The Answer.
Sean Thompson here, and I'm with attorney Bert Hochberg from the law firm of Schiller, Ducanto, and Fleck. We're talking about divorce arbitration. This is not really a new, or is it a new, innovative way to go through divorce?
Arbitration has been around for decades. It's completely legit and available to resolve divorce cases. The litigants and their lawyers sign an arbitration agreement. They identify what the issues are, and we set up dates, and we determine what experts and witnesses there may be. Arbitration is a hearing, a trial that is intended to finish a case efficiently with limited appeal, with a binding decision, and it's confidential, so it has some great characteristics.
I think it's a unique alternative to divorce. For more information, please visit sdflaw.com and type Bert Hochberg into the search box. That's sdflaw.com or call direct 773-255-6150.
Is your company's cybersecurity ready to handle today's cyber attacks? Some companies never recover due to the fallout. Listen to this. In 2021, a ransomware group called DarkSide gained access to Colonial Pipeline through a compromised password. The impact? 4.4 million paid in ransom. In 2017, Equifax had a massive breach which ended up costing over $700 million in settlements. Large companies from Target, Yahoo, to small businesses, including medical practices, have suffered major losses due to cyber attacks. Many have had to close their doors. Access One is here to protect your business 24/7. Cybersecurity isn't just about IT. It's about protecting your survival and customer trust. If you're concerned about your cybersecurity, get a free baseline cybersecurity assessment from AM560 sponsor Access One. Call 1-800-654-1555 or fill out the contact form at accessoneinc.com. Access One has been protecting Chicago businesses for 3 decades. That's 1-800-654-1555 or accessoneinc.com.
Protect your liver and give it the support it deserves with Active Liver from New Nordic. Find Active Liver in stores at your local CVS, Meijer Grocery, or online at Amazon or at newnordicusa.com.
In the Team Hochberg Traffic Center, traffic moving along pretty swiftly this morning. We've got some sticky spots here and there, though. On the Tri-State Tollway, about a 10-minute backup if you're going northbound between Mile Long Bridge and 47th. On the Stevenson, it is slow going inbound between Harlem and Damon, about a 19-minute backup in the area. How about the Kennedys? Usual delays if you're outbound between Montrose and Harlem, about a 10-minute backup. On the Eisenhower, typical slowdowns for this time of day if you're inbound between 17th and Cicero. The Dan Ryan creeping along if you're inbound local lanes between Garfield and Roosevelt. DuSable Lakeshore, traffic stacking if you're northbound between Soldier Field and Monroe Drive. Finally, traffic slowing on the Reagan Memorial Tollway eastbound between Route 25 and Farnsworth. This report sponsored by Macy's Backstage. Macy's Backstage is a whole department inside your Macy's store where you can find the latest fall looks, all for under $30. With new arrivals every day, you never know what amazing deals you'll find. Don't wait. Find a location at macysbackstage.com. I'm John Cruz. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Now check out that QC Kinetics forecast from the National Weather Service.
Today will be breezy with a mix of clouds and sun. The high will reach 56. Tonight, expect clouds early, then becoming partly cloudy later. The low will drop to 42. Tomorrow, anticipate a blend of clouds and sunshine. It'll feel chilly for trick-or-treating. The high temperature will be 55. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, get your tickets for Freedom Summit Chicago 2025, featuring Dr. Ben Carson, Scott Jennings, Mike Gallagher, and many more. Get your tickets today at freedomsummitchicago.com.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. Good piece by Jason Riley in the Wall Street Journal about the Piney Woods School in Mississippi. I mentioned this to you before. I was made aware of it from our friend Bob Woodson, Woodson Center. Piney Woods School has a Chicago connection, in part because some of the students hail from Illinois, but it's deeper than that. It's located in Mississippi, founded in 1909 to educate the descendants of former slaves, and now it's the nation's oldest historically black boarding school. About 100 students in grades 8 through 12. A third are Mississippi natives, the rest from other states and even other countries. Will Crossley is the school's president and a graduate from the south side of Chicago. Writes Jason Riley, Piney Woods exemplifies black education success, and Mr. Crossley is living proof. Grew up on the south side in the 80s, raised by his mother after his parents split. Crossley saying, I was approaching my teen years. I'm in 7th grade. This is Chicago. You're confronting problems. I never joined a gang, but you're confronting recruitment efforts. You get chased home enough times, you start looking for your group that's going to offer you some love and protection. His mom learned about Piney Woods from another member of their church and enrolled Will there in 8th grade. After graduating, he attended U of C, then taught in local public schools. Later earned his master's degree from a little school on the East Coast named Harvard, and a law degree from UVA. I was bothered by the fact that some people like me got a Piney Woods opportunity, but many of my cousins and friends in Chicago didn't. They weren't in college. Some of them were incarcerated. That disparity in opportunity is what drove me as a college student and later a graduate student. Yeah. The little bit more profile on the school. The typical student comes from a family headed by a single parent with a household income of around $40,000. More than 90% qualify for free lunch. Students attend on scholarship financed through family foundations, corporate sponsors, individual donors, and a small endowment that covers about 10% of the school's operating budget. Raising money, constant struggle. And yet, the school boasts a 100% graduation rate. College admissions test scores are above the state average and well above the average for other black students in Mississippi. And by the way, Mississippi has made great strides in education as a state. We mentioned this before per the NAEP tests, where they've moved from like 49th to in the top 10, ahead of Illinois. Hello. Crossley saying, our four-year college graduates rate is double the rate of high-poverty students nationally. That doesn't mean all the kids are going to a four-year college. We also look at community college as a good next step for some kids. We look at military service. We look at trade schools. We count all of those as positive outcomes because we get them at a good start. Jason Riley commenting, the Piney Woods experience upends much of the conventional wisdom on what's needed to educate low-income black students. It has succeeded without fancy amenities, without large government subsidies, and without a quote-unquote critical mass of non-black students to provide quote-unquote diversity in the classroom. It's a model that should be replicated. Unfortunately, it's mostly been ignored. Yes, it's interesting how the government school establishment ignores success stories. Another such success story right here that I've also mentioned many times, Chicago Hope Academy. Talk more about that. We're pleased to be joined by Ike Mazakowski, who is the principal at Chicago Hope, and quite the stepper I've seen from his Instagram videos. Ike, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Oh, happy to be here. Thank you.
So, I gave you the profile on Piney Woods and a fellow Chicagoan, Will Crossley, and what Piney Woods has done for more than 100 years and what he's been a part of as leading that school, which is a great story. Tell us about Chicago Hope Academy.
Yeah, so Chicago Hope Academy was founded in 2005. My parents were running a baseball little league and seeing a lot of kids going back to. Am I getting an echo? Or are you good on this side?
No, we're good.
Nice, awesome. They're seeing a lot of kids going off to high schools and not going on to college, or getting pressured to join gangs, pulled into crime. Growing up on the West Side, it's a tough place. But my parents were always thinking, hey, you should go where things are tough. You should invest in communities that people are ignoring. And so kind of like the grass isn't greener on the other side, the grass is greener where you water it kind of mentality. And so I said, hey, if we're going to start a school on the West Side, let's put our own kids in it. And so me, my 7 brothers and sisters all came to Hope. And yeah, we're doing a great thing over here. We got an awesome little community. We pull kids from West Side, South Side, and North Side schools. About 90% of our kids historically have come from Chicago public schools. And so the common phrase people usually say for education is the great equalizer. But in a tough neighborhood in Chicago, it's kind of the great solidifier. You're bound to be a product of your environment if you're growing up in a neighborhood where you've been in a failing school district. And so if you look at West Side schools that are around us in East Garfield Park, North Lawndale, Austin, and West Garfield Park, if you're a kid going to one of these schools, about 19 of them, you've got less than a 10% chance of graduating from college. And so the schools have been failing decade after decade. And so what I think is beautiful about Hope, or this other school you're talking about on the East Coast, is that one of the most equitable things you can do for a kid who's in a failing school, who's low income and can't afford $20,000 in tuition, is give them a chance to go to a private school. And so it's a place of empowerment, tight-knit community. One thing that we do require is that every student pays something. On the West Side, I live in East Garfield Park. There can be a very strong welfare culture, and there's free food, there's free housing, there's free school. And I think that giving families the opportunities to stand alongside our donor base and our supporters to invest in their own education grants you dignity, grants you pride, grants you motivation. It incentivizes you to show up on time, to be respectful, to look to your future with more intentionality. And so we love that each family is partnering with us to pay what little they can. Everyone's got a bit of a sliding scale for what they can cover, but it costs about $20,000 to fund a student coming to Hope, and the average student is paying about $3,000 to $3,500. And so we stand shoulder to shoulder with families, propelling them towards college or towards trades. We have a handful of kids who go to the military each year, but we've built up a partnership with 3 major trades unions. So we've got maybe 90 kids in the first year, or 70 kids in the first year, 90 kids in the second year, and then 60 kids currently who are taking pre-electrician, pre-operating engineers, and pre-laborers coursework to enroll directly into the unions after graduation. So we celebrate college and trades careers equally.
And so you mentioned you got about a 1 in 10 chance to complete college if you're in one of those 19 government schools in the same, pulling kids from largely the same communities, same neighborhoods. And so what are the metrics at Chicago Hope in terms of test scores and college admissions, trade school completions, those sorts of things?
Yeah, so at Hope, we probably send, of our kids graduating in the class last year, 75 kids in the senior class. We got about 300 students. We sent 9 directly into the union. So we sent 4 to the operating engineers, local 150, and then we sent 5 to the electricians union, local 134. And then we sent 3 kids, went straight to work, supporting their families, and then all of the rest went to a 2 or 4 year college. So that's kind of putting everyone somewhere. And the 3 students who, there's always extenuating circumstances where college or the trades career might not be that path for you. But comparably, for the demographics we're serving, kids coming from West Side, South Side Chicago, we have incredible amounts of success. And then when you look at persistence rates, for the last 4 years, we've had about 90% of our kids persist through year 1 and 80% of them persist through year 2. So we're super proud of that. We love keeping tabs on our kids and making sure they're doing well. It'd be great if we could have a full-time alumni coordinator. But yeah, most of our kids are the first in their families to go to college. So that's pretty exciting what we're able to do.
Yeah. And just thinking about kids, like you said, coming from CPS to Chicago Hope. So then what do they say? What do their families say in terms of the differential in experience?
Yeah, the intimate, the tight class size is great. We've got about 17 kids per class or per classroom. The family they feel known. It's easier to be held accountable. Sometimes even we have kids our kids make mistakes. Our kids aren't perfect. I'm not perfect. But even we have a family meeting for a kid getting ready to head out to suspension or coming back from suspension, to have quality conversations with the parents, just thanking us for holding their kids accountable and growing them up in a values-based education. We're unapologetic as a Christian high school, but not all of our students have that faith background. And so helping them understand integrity, accountability, honesty, it's just a bit different. I think some of our transfer students coming in from these West Side schools, we had 2 this year, have never done homework before. And so in some of these schools...
And they're in high school? They're in high school?
Yes.
Never done homework
before. Kind of like the soft bigotry of low expectations, all disguised or under the guise of the word equity, or really understanding kids. I think challenging students is so important, and to eliminate standards like we've done in a lot of these schools in Chicago, I think that's racist to say, because you're coming from a tough neighborhood, there's mostly Black and Latino kids coming from tough neighborhoods, to say you don't have to do homework. If you don't turn a homework assignment, you get an automatic 60% on the assignment. Is what's taking place in a lot of these schools. So there's no accountability, and that's like when the welfare culture becomes a crutch. So you want to challenge kids. And even in my first year as a principal was when COVID hit. I was 26 years old trying to figure it out. And everyone's saying, hey, you got to promote the kids. You have to pass them to the next grade level. You can't fail a student. Their mental health is so important. And I think mental health is so much different than mental strength. And so we probably had 45 kids fail a class and come to summer school in that COVID year. when everyone's freaking out and the whole city's closed down. It's like, no, you didn't meet the standard. You didn't meet the expectation. Come to summer school. I'm going to be here. And you're going to be welcomed in with optimism, joy, and charisma. But you can't just be a good kid. You have to be good for something. You have to be able to perform in the capitalist society we live in. So creating standards for kids and holding them accountable, I think, is something that Hope does a great job of, imperfectly. But a lot of our families aren't used to that if they're coming from a public school with lower academic expectations and rigor.
So, so Ike on to Mike, your alter ego, or maybe it's just your actual ego on Instagram. What's the genesis of doing the essentially the music videos and the dance videos with the kids? I mean, are great, and actually, you're quite the talented dancer. But it's just interesting. You don't see a lot of principals doing dance videos with their students, you know.
Yeah, I mean, from Soulja Boy to Matty G, I get excited about it. But I mean, just growing up with a lot of friends who had rhythm, you don't usually see. As a white guy, you kind of have the element of surprise, just with stereotypes. Like, same as when I'm on a basketball court, people assume I'm a shooter instead of a dribbler. Like, this is what it is. You don't expect a guy in a suit with a bald head to be footworking with the kids, but just growing up around a culture where dance is super important, where rhythm is part of the vibe. I get excited sometimes more than the kids to do the dances, but it keeps things accessible. I try to kind of eliminate the boundary, just saying, oh, this is President or Principal Muzikowski. And I just have everyone call me Principal Light or Ike directly. And same as my dad always says, we shouldn't be Christian. You didn't become Christian to be miserable. We didn't become educators to be serious. We can still have fun in school and get things done. So, yeah, I love dancing. I love rapping. I love reading classic novels and playing chess. So if the kids see me enjoying and celebrating hip hop, and then also encouraging them to take geometry seriously, to read The House on Mango Street with intentionality, you just kind of have credibility across the board. When they see that you love what they love, show up to their sports games or hop into a TikTok dance video with them, they'll behave better in class.
Just in terms of providing scholarship dollars to the kids, as you were saying, everybody pays something, but most are not anywhere near the actual cost to educate the kids on an annualized basis, and so you got to raise money as a private school. The impact of the end of the tax credit scholarship program in Illinois, how did that impact Chicago Hope?
Yeah, so Investing Kids was a tax credit scholarship program where people from all around Illinois, you could be from Evanston, Wheaton, from Naperville, and you could get make a donation and receive a 75% tax credit to allow a kid from inner city Chicago who met an income metric of having low income status, they could get a scholarship to go to high school. So it was a scholarship for low income families. It was amazing. You just don't see a ton of stuff like that. And so they canceled the teachers unions, pushed to cancel that. And so about 130 of our kids lost their scholarship. So about half our students. And it's tough being a high school. We have to raise $5 million. It's tough being a high school where most of the budget isn't funded through tuition dollars. So we have to raise about 85% of our budget, whereas most schools where they're charging $14,000, $15,000, $20,000 a year per kid, and those families are paying it, they only have to raise about 10% of their budget through fundraising. And so since Hope has opened, about 15 affordable private schools have closed. That's St. Joe's, that's Hales Franciscan, Luther South, Luther North, Quigley, St. Benedict. And so we're one of the few schools that remains that kind of stands in that middle ground of allowing a low-income student who can't necessarily or doesn't necessarily test in the 90th percentile or have $20,000 a year to pay for private school tuition. They've been priced out of that experience. And so one thing that's on the horizon, the ECCA bill coming from Washington, D.C., each state is allowed to choose whether they support that. And so Pritzker has a chance to kind of sign in on that and say, hey, could we allow people from South Carolina, Naples, Florida, Texas, to get a $1,700 tax credit to allow a kid from East Garfield Park to go to Chicago Hope Academy instead of a failing neighborhood school on the west side. So there's still a chance for that. I think the teachers' unions are a bit too clamorous and impassioned to let that happen as they put ideologies before kids' opportunities. But I love what we've been able to do so far in allowing hundreds of kids with hundreds of supporters partnering with us to make this all possible. But yeah, to have a tax credit scholarship, some form of school choice in Illinois could really help save the affordable private schools that remain. It's kind of the chapter of the death of the affordable private school in America is upon us. But we're in a strong financial position, and we got a lot of people who are excited about what we're doing. So we keep our head down, keep plugging away, and grateful for everyone who wants to come visit, learn about what we're doing, and be part of the Hope story.
And those 130 kids that were on scholarship that lost their tax credit scholarship when Pritzker, at the behest of the teachers' unions, killed the program, are they still in school? Did they have to? Did you made accommodations so that they could stay, or how did that work out?
Oh yeah, even the 150 kids who were not on that tax credit scholarship, they were receiving the same amount of financial aid across the board, anyways. And so we kept everyone. If kids had been put out of Hope, they would have gone back to Manly or Al Raby Douglas. I'm writing a book right now. I don't know if you know the popular phrase that was called defund the police. Whenever I hear that, I say pray for the police. Well, my book has that title with police crossed out. It says defund the CTU. And so when I think about giving kids opportunities and putting funding towards the middle ground, which would be private, affordable schools for Black and Latino kids who don't have access to that, I think that's a great initiative that anyone who believes in equity and opportunity should be able to get behind. But the CTU would need schools like Hope to close. They need their enrollment in these under-enrolled schools to boost up. Otherwise, they're going to face potential closure. You look at Orr High School, they've lost 50% of their kids in the last 10 years, and half of those kids now are the Venezuelan immigrants who arrived in the last couple of years. So I think the Venezuelan immigrants are going to help save the CTU in some different ways when you think about enrollment metrics and trends. But if our kids lost their scholarships and had to leave Hope, they'd be going to Orr, Collins, Marshall, Farragut, Manly. Those are kind of like the West Side schools that are around. And so I love the idea of every single kid growing up in Chicago having a quality public school in their neighborhood. I think that's what every American deserves. But the reality is that a lot of these underperforming schools, you can't just throw more money at it to change it. It's not one big problem. It's 1,000 little problems. It comes with single-parent households, fatherlessness in the community, cultural values, reading 2 million words by the age of 2, crime, motivation, access to a network of mentors, activating the churches. So it's so much more than just saying, oh, CPS is the problem. There's a lot of more factors going into it. But since most of our kids are coming from CPS schools, I want CPS to thrive. I want CPS to be successful. I want our kids to come in our doors prepared rather than underprepared to have a college prep curriculum experience. So, praying for CPS, but then also hoping that government officials or CTU members could be a little less unrelenting on keeping the vice grip and monopoly on schools in Chicago, and give places like Hope or other private schools the chance to give kids an outlet if they don't feel like their neighborhood local school is the best fit for them if it's been underperforming for the last 45 years.
Ike Mazikowski is the principal at Chicago Hope Academy, founded by his parents, as he mentioned. ChicagoHopeAcademy.org for more information, or to support Chicago Hope Academy, ChicagoHopeAcademy.org. Ike, thanks so much for joining us, and give my regards to your dad as well. Appreciate the time.
Nice, I will. Today could be the best day ever. You never know.
There you go. Ike Mazikowski joined us on the Turnkey.Pro answer line. Coming up at 8:08 will return to the indictment of the Broadview Six. It is now 8 o'clock on AM 560 WIND Chicago.
There is less trade tension with China. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. After President Trump's meeting with China's leader in South Korea that he called a 12 on a scale of 0 to 10. And Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent tells Fox Business that has put a U.S.-China trade deal on a faster track.
I expect that we will exchange signatures possibly as soon as next week.
Now, the president said while flying home after their meeting in South Korea, wrapping up his Asian trip, the Chinese leader Xi Jinping pledged to do more to stop the flow of the deadly drug fentanyl into the U.S.
Based on his statements today, I reduced it by 10%, so it's 10% instead of 20%. Effective immediately.
The president talking about the tariff reduction he's putting on Chinese imports because of that. He also says they resolved a dispute over rare earth minerals, and China agreed to resume buying American soybeans. President Trump also told reporters he's ordered the Department of War to immediately resume nuclear weapons tests, something the U.S. hasn't done in 33 years. But he also said,
I think de-escalation would be, they would call it denuclearization, would be a tremendous thing.
The U.S. military has blown up yet another suspected drug boat off Venezuela's coast, killing another 4 people. Secretary of War Pete Hegseth posted video of the explosion and called those killed narco-terrorists. It's now 15 boats destroyed since last month. More than 60 suspected illegal drug traffickers dead. It's day 30 of the government shutdown, with federal workers still unpaid and millions of Americans who get food stamp assistance won't, starting on Saturday.
This isn't a political game. These are real people's lives that we're talking about.
Senate Majority Leader John Thune, after Democrats again blocked funding in a vote. Democrats blame Republicans for not negotiating with them on the provisions they want to add. President Trump's Surgeon General nominee was supposed to answer questions this morning at the Senate. Instead, Dr. Casey Means is having a baby. 40 weeks pregnant. She's gone into labor, postponing the hearing. America's listening to Fox.
Good morning. It is 48 degrees here in Chicago on AM 560. The Answer. I'm Stace Keene in the AM 560 newsroom. The U.S. Supreme Court has delayed issuing a ruling on President Trump's request to deploy National Guard troops here in Chicago. The court is debating how to interpret the wording of a law that limits when a president can use members of the National Guard. The court has asked attorneys on both sides to submit briefs that address the meaning of the term, quote, regular forces in regards to military and how it should be analyzed in this case. A former Illinois sheriff deputy has been found guilty of murder in the shooting death of a woman in her home. Fox's Kristen Goodwin has more.
A jury finding Sean Grayson guilty of second-degree murder in the 2024 fatal shooting of Sonia Massey, a 36-year-old killed in her Springfield, Illinois home after calling 911 to report a possible intruder. Jurors not convicting Grayson on the first-degree murder charge. Graphic body camera footage shows the former Sangamon County Sheriff's deputy, who is white, shooting Massey, who was black. Grayson testifying he feared for his safety, believing Massey was threatening to throw a pot of boiling water at him. Grayson's former partner, Dawson Farley, testifying for the prosecution, noting he didn't see Massey as a threat. A sentencing hearing is set for January 29th. Grayson faces 4 to 20 years in prison. Kristen Goodwin, Fox News.
And taco kits that were sold at Aldi stores here in Chicago are being recalled after seasoning packets were replaced with hot cocoa mix. People with allergies or sensitivities to milk products run the risk of serious or even life-threatening allergic reactions. If you have Casa Mamita soft taco dinner kits in your pantry, you're urged to check the UPC codes, which are located at fda.gov. Consumers who have purchased the product are urged to return it to the place where you bought it for a full refund. News is a service of Salem Surround, providing your business with industry-leading digital marketing strategy designed to surround your target audience and drive action. Go to surroundchicago.com today. A check of the roads is coming up in 2 minutes, but time now for the AM 560 Business Beat, a service of Signature Bank.
I'm Charles Payne, and this is the Fox Business Report.
Fast food fans are responding to Burger King's value pricing. Parent company Restaurant Brands is reporting resilient traffic at Burger King's and its Tim Hortons chain. Its response to weaker consumer confidence resulted in more people going to its restaurants. Earnings topped expectations in the recent quarter. Eli Lilly shares are up more than 5%. It's still seeing strong demand for weight loss and diabetes treatments, Zepbound and Mounjaro. Earnings and revenue came in better than forecast. Pharma giant Merck made more from its cancer drug Keytruda in the recent quarter. You may be seeing discounts on Halloween candy. Reuters says stores are offering more lower prices on Hershey products after it raised prices before the holiday to cover higher cocoa costs. That's your Fox Business Report. I'm Jenny Posolda. Invested in you.
Your home is a valuable asset, and you want to take care of your home. From roofs, siding, windows, and doors to furnaces, flooring, landscaping, and much more. Listen to your go-to for all things home. It's Home Answers Radio every Sunday morning at 9. Presented by Lang Home Medical Equipment, Valdecast Windows and Doors, and by JeffBuysYourHouse.com. Get answers from industry experts so you can make informed decisions about your home improvement. Right here on AM 560, The Answer. Don't miss In Grace with Pastor Jim Scudder Jr. Now heard on Sunday mornings at 7:30. Tune in and find hope as Jim Scudder explores God's Word and His world each Sunday morning right here on AM 560, The Answer.
Diabetes, high blood pressure, anxiety meds, everyone's on them. If you're a 50-year-old male, maybe a bit porky, and you may even have type 2 diabetes, $1 million of term insurance may only cost you about $200 a month. Call Term Provider. Speak with Big Lou at 800-367-2816. Big Lou will find a term life policy for you even if you have type 2 diabetes, are overweight, or have high blood pressure. Term Provider has helped thousands of people like you who think they can't afford term life insurance. To buy $1 million of affordable term life for you, all you need to do is call Big Lou at 800-367-2816. Lou will make sure the scales are tipped in your favor. Call 800-367-2816. Big Lou will answer your call and work to fit you into a term life policy that you can afford. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds too. Call 800-367-2816 or biglou.com.
You okay down there?
I tripped over old china boxes in the basement, and now I'm stuck behind the ping pong table we never use.
I'm coming to the rescue, if I can find you.
You know, if we finished this basement, we could actually enjoy this space.
I think it's time to call Forever Remodeling.
Forever Remodeling turns disaster zones into game rooms, guest bedrooms and bathrooms, home theaters, a custom space just for you. Visit foreverremodeling.com. That's the number 4, everremodeling.com.
Hey, I'm Steve Wyatt, and I want to invite you to the Wyatt Matters Show, which airs every Sunday on this station. You can expect lively discussion and heartfelt reflection that will both entertain and inspire you. And if we do it right, maybe deliver some genuine laughter as well. We talk about not only what matters, but also why it matters.
Wyatt Matters, Sunday morning at 6 on AM 560. The Answer.
An official message from Medicare.
Medicare plans change from one year to the next. And this year, it's important for you to review your current coverage and compare all your options during Medicare open enrollment. Compare health plans, drug coverage, and costs. See if you can save some money, and don't forget to make sure your drugs are covered. Open enrollment ends December 7th. Visit Medicare.gov or call 1-800-MEDICARE.
Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
The Tunnel to Towers Foundation honors America's heroes. Heroes like U.S. Army Warrant Officer 1 Stuart Waymond. After joining the Army, Stuart graduated from Army Aviation School and had a distinguished career until a mid-air collision during a training exercise took Stuart's life. He leaves behind his wife Kira and their 3 sons. Tunnel to Towers paid the mortgage on Stuart's family home. Help more families like Stuart's. Donate $11 a month to Tunnel to Towers at T2T.org. That's T2T.org.
Gain insight into building strong marriages and raising godly children with Focus on the Family with Jim Daly each weekday at 11:30 a.m. on our sister station, AM 1160. Hope for your life.
From the Team Hochberg Traffic Center, let's get you into your workday on the roads. Stop and go on the Stevenson. We'll start there on the inbound lanes between Harlem and Damon Avenue, about a 25-minute delay. The Reagan Memorial has some issues on the eastbound ramp between Roosevelt and Tri-State. It is stop and go on the Eden Spur, eastbound between Waukegan and Eden's Expressway. Let's check the Kennedys. Outbound 90 between Montrose and Harlem Avenue, about a 12-minute delay. And the inbound Kennedy between Montrose and Division, about a 17-minute delay. Backing up on the Eisenhower this morning, inbound lanes between 9th and Cicero, about a 15-minute backup. The Dan Ryan Express lanes inbound between 59th and Stevenson, expect about a 10-minute delay in the area. DuSable Lakeshore northbound, backing up between Stevenson and Monroe. Finally, the Jane Addams slow traffic on the ramp to the inbound Eisenhower if you're going eastbound between Meacham and Route 53. Big savings on full mouth dental implants are here at almostfreeteeth.com. Medical insurance can make what used to cost a fortune surprisingly affordable. Don't wait. Take the 60-second quiz to see if you qualify at almostfreeteeth.com. I'm John Cruz. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Now check out the QC Kinetics forecast from the National Weather Service.
Today will be breezy with a mix of clouds and sun, reaching a high of 56. Tonight, expect cloudy skies early, then becoming partly cloudy later with a low of 42. Tomorrow, anticipate a blend of clouds and sunshine, perfect for Halloween activities with a high of 55. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft on AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. Just updating those celebrating Judge Sarah Ellis's order that ICE Commander Greg Bovino show up every day to brief her on ICE's activities. Yeah, that got appealed to the Seventh Circuit, and the Seventh Circuit issued a temporary stay on that administrative order from Judge Ellis, who is basically JB or BJ in a robe, meaning a politician in a robe that is applying her ideology, not the law. The Department of Homeland Security appealed, asking for a writ of mandamus from the Seventh Circuit, which is, an order from a higher court to a lower court or a government agency for specific performance, and that is pending. But there's a stay on her order so that Greg Bovino doesn't have to waste his time being whistled to the principal's office effectively every day. In bigger news, yesterday, indictments. The Broadview Six, Kat the commie for Congress, who is running to replace Calamity Jan Schakowsky in the 9th District. A dandy from Oak Park, who's on the village council of that commie town. Commies all abound. And a handful of others, 4 others, indicted for interfering with ICE officers at the Broadview facility. And this is what Kat the commie posted on Blue Sky in response to her indictment.
My name is Kat Abou-Ghazaleh. I'm running for Congress in the 9th District of Illinois, and the Department of Justice is charging 6 people, including myself, with federal crimes for exercising our First Amendment rights near ICE's Broadview Processing Center. This is a political prosecution and a gross attempt to silence dissent, a right protected under the First Amendment. This case is a major push by the Trump administration to criminalize protest and punish anyone who speaks out against them. That's why I'm going to fight these unjust charges, but I need your help to do it. As I and others have exercised our First Amendment rights, ICE has hit, dragged, thrown, shot with pepper balls, and tear gassed hundreds of protesters, simply because we had the gall to say that masked men coming into our communities, abducting our neighbors, and terrorizing us cannot be our new normal. And because Chicago doesn't back down from bullies in masks who tear gas our neighborhoods, this administration has resorted to weaponizing the federal justice system to scare us into silence. But we're not going to be silent. The Trump administration wants you to be afraid of speaking out against it and its anti-democratic power grabs. And there are plenty of reasons to be afraid right now, but we have to overcome that fear. This case targets our rights to protest, speak freely, and associate with anyone who disagrees with the government. And while we have seen the unhinged and unlawful tactics this administration has used against the American public, it's important to remember they're doing this because they are scared. They are wrong. And they know they are on the wrong side of history. We cannot diminish ourselves in the face of these attacks. That's why we have to unite and stand up for humanity, our rights, and everyone terrorized by Trump's lawless secret police. You'll be hearing regular updates directly from me about this case and how we can use our constitutional rights to resist authoritarianism. And as scary as all of this is, I have spent my career fighting America's backslide into fascism. I'm not going to stop now, and I hope you won't either.
Yeah. Her career of about 3 years as a professional agitator. It's a storied career. For more on the topic, please be joined by Paul Perez. He's the president of the National Border Patrol Council. Paul, lawlessness, secret police, abridgment of the right to protest, First Amendment rights of people like Kat. What's going on here in your view?
There was so much BS in that statement. I'm going to have to shower after this, but that is exactly the type of rhetoric that is causing those people to come out and, like you said, professional agitators. They're out there antagonizing, trying to create situations where there are none. Our agents are out there doing lawful duty, performing their lawful duties, doing these enforcement actions to take out these people that have no right to be in the country. They entered illegally. They've got orders for deportation. They've got criminal records, and they're going after them. And you've got people like her that are out there trying to make it appear as if we're out there harassing citizens. You know, the thing about this is the people that we come across are not the aliens that we're actually going after. It's these agitators that are impeding and getting in the way of what we're trying to do. And that type of rhetoric is what has caused our agents to be at the receiving end of 1,000% increase in agent assault and doxing and going after our families because of people like her.
And the incidents where there have been crowd control measures used, is there anything that you've seen? I mean, again, this is sort of like the self-accountability question, because, you know, police don't like to see a bad police. And I know that's the culture in law enforcement generally. They don't want to see somebody crossing the line because they understand the implications for the reputation, theirs and the entire agencies. So have you seen anything or heard of any stories where you think that that was a bad judgment call, or that ICE crossed a line and they need to own up to that for the purposes of maintaining their legitimacy as people are watching?
Not in the videos that I've seen, and what I have seen based on my 28 years of experience, I can tell you our agents and officers are using a tremendous amount of restraint. They're using a tremendous amount of restraint. Now, they are going to go after those people that are doing harm. You see in these videos, there are people armed with weapons. They've they've slashed the tires of our vehicles. They've vandalized government property to include our vehicles. They've chunked rocks. They've chunked objects at our agents and officers. And so when we can go after them, we're going to go after them. But as you see, there are so many agitators out there that we have to watch our backs. Instead of doing the job that we're supposed to be doing, we're having to deal with these agitators. And so I can tell you they have used a tremendous amount of restraint.
You know, I mean, this is sort of self-evident based on what you're describing, but I want to get your reaction anyway. The story out yesterday that the Pentagon ordered the National Guard to create quick reaction forces in every state and territory by January that are trained and equipped to respond to riots and civil unrest. The riot control units would be trained in non-lethal use of force for crowd control. As many as 500 soldiers in each state or territory would be assigned to deploy in the U.S. on short notice and receive non-lethal training in crowd control, handling of detainees, and use of batons, stun guns, and body shields. So that's obviously in preparation for the possibility that the situations like we've seen in Chicago escalate.
Yeah, we're not going to stop enforcing the law. We're not going to stop following the guidance from the president, who was given a mandate because he ran on this very topic. He was given a mandate to clean the streets up, to bring America back to safety and security and prosperity. We're going to continue doing it, and these agitators are only making things worse. They're getting more money, more funding, more organizing, and they're going after agents and officers. They're becoming more extreme. It's gotten a lot more dangerous, and so I fully support the Department of War's efforts to support us and back us up. Absolutely.
Tom Homan said this week that by the time the new year rolls around, will be more than 600,000 deportations. He also said the majority are criminals, and the data proves that. And who are the other 30 to 35%? Those are national security threats who don't have a lot of criminal convictions. We're prioritizing public safety threats and national security threats, but as I said, no one is off the table, and if we find you, we're going to arrest you. Is that consistent with what you understand to be sort of the distribution of ICE activity and apprehensions to date?
It is, yeah. And so what a lot of people are not talking about is the million plus who have self-deported. They have left on their own accord because they know that we're coming into cities and municipalities across the country. And if we find them, we're going to deport them, and they're never going to have an opportunity to come back into the United States. So on their own, there are over 1 million that have self-deported. They've removed themselves from the United States because they know they had no legal right to be here. And so, yeah, the numbers are great for us.
And also, too, I mean, just as a point of order, despite the vituperative nature and, in some cases, violent nature of the protesters and the rhetoric of a lot of sanctuary state and city politicians, the applications nationally to become an ICE officer dwarf the available positions. I read it something like 10 to 1. Is that correct?
That is correct. They can't hire. They can't hire quick enough because there's such an increase in the amount of applicants that are wanting to get into these ICE positions to help, President Trump run the largest deportation effort in the history of this country.
And, since you're Border Patrol Counsel, to President National Border Patrol Counsel, just going back to the border, too, we sort of, take this as, as the customary situation that we don't have a problem at the border. I mean, our governor here in Illinois, Pritzker, saying, we had, on Bret Baier last week, we had a problem at the border, and now we don't. And he just sort of glossed over why we had it and now why we don't. But the situation at the border is one of the key pieces, not just the sending the message out internationally that we're serious about border security and we're not going to be releasing people into the country, paroling people into the country that just then disappear the way that the Biden administration did. But something that Tom Homan says, and I think needs to be repeated a lot to penetrate the public's consciousness, is this whole idea of somebody crosses the border illegally, they go on a detainment and the detainment docket for adjudication of any asylum claim, and that is their due process, and that happens relatively quickly within 60 days, or 60 to 90 days, I think you said, versus what the Biden administration was doing, despite the capacity to detain and process asylum claims, letting them into the country, and then your years in the offing and paperwork back and forth, trying to track people down as they're moving about the country. And that was the game that they played. Is what's happening at the border for I know it's a slower flow, but there's still people, I'm sure, trying to get in. Is that the key, is keeping them detained and on the detainment docket so any claims can be adjudicated and, most are going to be turned away, and that's exactly what's happening?
Yeah, the overwhelming majority of the people that we're apprehending are being repatriated. They're being deported right away. And so we're not having to hold them in detainment because, of course, what President Biden was doing was he opened the border completely, and he allowed anybody to come in, make a silly claim, and be released pending a hearing date. What we've done is we ended catch and release. President Trump ended catch and release on day one, which turned the magnet off for people to just come in and get a free ride into the interior of the United States. He's ended that. Deterrence is our biggest friend now. We've got thousands of agents on the line, on the border, securing the border, and making sure that people know that if they cross, they're going to get apprehended and they're going to be returned. So that's the difference between the Biden administration and the Trump administration, is we've taken a deterrent enforcement posture, whereas President Biden took a welcoming encouragement to break our laws aspect, and that's the difference. That's what's helping us now.
And the other thing that seems to have gone away is that excuse. One of the excuses they were using, the open borders crowd, is, well, these countries won't take them back. I'm not hearing problems with repatriation anymore.
Yeah, they had no respect for Biden or his administration. President Trump brings the strength of the Oval Office, the strength of the White House back to the world stage, and they know he's not messing around. So he will make sure that these countries take back their citizens, or there'll be consequences.
Paul Perez is president of the National Border Patrol Council. Paul, thanks for joining us again. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
And he joined us on the Turnkey.pro answer line.
Hear about the big stories of the day, then talk about them right here on Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Let me take a moment to talk about my friends at QC Kinetics. They're helping so many listeners regain their mobility free from joint pain. Does this sound like you? Where every time you move, it's a reminder of what hurts? A reminder of how far you've drifted from the life you once had? Well, relief is closer than you think, and it doesn't have to come from surgery. At QC Kinetics, Dr. Caravelli and her team tap into your body's own regenerative power using natural healing factors that help restore and repair damaged tissue, reduce inflammation, and relieve pain at its source. Stop masking the pain. Let QC Kinetics help you regain what pain took away. And this Veterans Day, QC Kinetics is giving back to our heroes. Veterans will get $500 off their treatment. And for every non-veteran who starts care, QC Kinetics will donate $500 to the Wounded Warrior Project. It's a great time to book your free consultation to learn how QC Kinetics can help. Call 312-827-6261. That's 312-827-6261. Once more, that phone number, 312-827-6261, and tell them I sent you when you call. Speaking of Farm to Veteran, our veterans are our heroes. They answered the call to defend our freedom, putting their lives on the line for our nation. But today, thousands of these brave men and women are facing something no hero should ever face: food insecurity. That's where Farm to Veteran comes in. Through the Fulcrum Farm Foundation, this remarkable organization delivers farm-fresh, nutritious food directly to veterans in need through veteran services and organizations. From greenhouse-grown produce to eggs, they're ensuring our heroes have access to the high-quality food they deserve. But Farm to Veteran can't do it alone. They need our help. Your financial contribution directly supports their mission to feed more veterans across their growing network of partner farms nationwide. There's another way you can make a difference. You can join them at their upcoming community events. Visit farmtoveteran.com today. That's farm and the number 2, veteran.com. to donate or learn about events near you, because those who served our country shouldn't have to wonder where their next meal is coming from. Let's stand with those who stood for us. Visit farmtoveteran.com. Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank, a bank where relationships still matter. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
Hey all, Jim Carr here. I am the owner of Carr Machine and Tool in Elk Grove Village and loyal customer of Signature Bank. As a second generation owner, I knew I had to shift from operating as an old school machine shop to what I can proudly say is now one of the fastest growing aerospace manufacturing facilities in the region. Signature Bank was there every step of the way through our expansion efforts, including financing our new state-of-the-art facility. Their valuable industry expertise and constant communication throughout the construction process made our vision possible. Many thanks to Signature Bank for supporting Carr Machine and Tool. You set the bar high for other banks.
Signature Bank helps local businesses succeed. Want to learn how Signature Bank can help turn your business vision into reality? Visit signaturebank.bank. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Hi, I'm Ken Mariotti, owner of Woodland Windows and Doors, a third-generation family-owned business since 1969. We know you're bombarded by choices when shopping for new windows or doors, so we're inviting you to experience the Woodland difference. For decades, we have been transforming living spaces with Marvin Windows, a fifth-generation family business. Marvin replacement windows have been known to increase the warmth of your cold rooms by 10 degrees. Think about that, 10 degrees warmer. When you welcome Woodland into your home, you will get a product expert to transform your living spaces, full-time, dedicated professional installers that you can trust in your home, along with the best products like Marvin. These are the reasons we're proud of our 5-star reviews and family legacy. No gimmicks, no pressure, and upfront pricing are why Woodland Windows and Doors is your trusted window and door expert in Chicagoland. Visit woodlandwindows.com to book your free in-home expert consultation. That's woodlandwindows.com, or stop by our showroom at the corner of Lake and Geary in Roselle.
Sean Thompson here, and I'm with attorney Bert Hochberg from the law firm of Schiller, Ducanto, and Fleck. We're talking about divorce arbitration. This is not really a new, or is it a new, innovative way to go through divorce?
Arbitration has been around for decades. It's completely legit and available to resolve divorce cases. The litigants and their lawyers sign an arbitration agreement. They identify what the issues are, and we set up dates, and we determine what experts and witnesses there may be. Arbitration is a hearing, a trial that is intended to finish a case efficiently with limited appeal, with a binding decision, and it's confidential, so it has some great characteristics.
I think it's a unique alternative to divorce. For more information, please visit sdflaw.com and type Bert Hochberg into the search box. That's sdflaw.com, or call direct 773-255-6150.
AM 560, The Answer.
Hey, down to the 19th Ward. All you Southsiders, city workers. 19th Ward Mutual Aid will be holding a Whistlemania event today in the Evergreen Park area. You can join them in assembling whistle kits to protect neighbors from ice. RSVP is required. I guess you can RSVP at the Beverly Mount Greenwood patch. All you rough and tumble daily Democrats down in the South Side, go make your little whistle kits. Yeah. With ICER and all the professional agitators, all the defund the police fans, right? All the defund the police fans, get together with them, Beverly and Mount Green, will make your little whistle kits. You can follow around the ICE agents and make a day of it. Sounds fun. I mean, and frankly, I'm be happy if there are any Irish illegal immigrants. I'm happy to prioritize them. Whatever we can do to cleanse the city of the Irish, you know what I mean? Coming up at 8:38, we'll talk New York mayor's race with Zed Jelani. It is now time to check the headlines.
Good morning. It is 49 degrees in Chicago on AM 560. The Answer. I'm Stace Keene in the AM 560 newsroom. A woman running for Congress is facing charges stemming from protests outside that suburban Chicago ICE facility. Fox's Jeff Manasso has the details.
Kat Abagazali, a Democrat candidate for Congress in Illinois' 9th District, is among 6 people indicted in federal court charged with impeding a federal agent. It stems from protests outside the Broadview ICE facility late last month.
This is a political prosecution and a gross attempt to silence dissent, a right protected under the First Amendment.
In Chicago, Jeff Manasso, Fox News.
And with SNAP benefits set to be stopped on Saturday, Governor J.B. Pritzker is set to sign an executive order which would allocate $20 million in state funds to food banks. Nearly 2 million people here in Illinois received those SNAP benefits to supplement their food budgets. News is a service of AlmostFreeTeeth.com. Big savings on full mouth dental implants are here at AlmostFreeTeeth.com. Medical insurance can make what used to cost a fortune surprisingly affordable. Don't wait. Take the 60-second quiz to see if you qualify at AlmostFreeTeeth.com. A Check the Roads is coming up in 2 minutes on AM 560, The Answer.
If you listen to the mainstream media and the Democrats, you'd think it was a sin to be black and conservative. Well, John Anthony blows up that perception every week on Black and Right. Join John this Saturday afternoon at 4 when he pushes back against the left and its progressive agenda that tries to dictate how people should think or feel about politics. Listen to Black and Right this Saturday afternoon at 4 right here on AM 560, The Answer.
When I started skiing, I didn't think about setting any records. When I won my first race, I didn't think about how many more I might win. So when I made it to the top of the world, it never crossed my mind to stop. Being the best isn't the same as being your best. There are no shortcuts to the top, so find the people who help get you there. I'm Michaela Schifrin, and that's what Team Stiefel means to me. If you're an advisor or an investor, choose Stiefel, where success meets success.
Stiefel Nicholas and Company Incorporated, member SIPC and NYSE. Past performance is no indication of future results. Investing involves risk. Consult a financial advisor before making any investment decisions.
Why would you take your precious metal collections to some fly-by-night roadshow that rolls into town once a year? The only thing you need to do is follow the road to Fox Valley Coins and show your gold or silver to Marlin and the team. Gold is at an all-time historical high, so don't keep sitting on your coin hoards or old jewelry that you've been saving to sell when the time is right. The time is right now. Prices have never been better on most collector and gold coins. Fox Valley Coins in Naperville is trying to keep up with demand. So they're paying the most ever on not only most gold coins in bars, but also those old coin collections. You might have scarce dates or higher grade coins, so take advantage of the record high market price and the demand now. Whether you're buying or selling, or just want to find out values, trust the team at Fox Valley Coins. Fox Valley Coins is on Route 59, just one light north of I-88 at the Naperville-Warrenville border. Family-owned integrity since 1981.
Hey, it's Scott Tucker and my new co-host,
Amy Jacobson,
on AM 560. We wanted you to know that we have a special show every Sunday morning at 7 a.m. here on AM 560, The Answer. It is a Retirement Dakota with Scott Tucker and
Amy Jacobson.
It's every Sunday morning from 7 to 9 a.m. 2-hour show, 2-hour radio extravaganza. Amy, we're going to tantalize the listening public and the listening private with all kinds of retirement planning information. So tune in at AM 560 Sunday mornings at 7 a.m.
Fearless conversations and sharp analysis of the stories that matter. It's the Aaron Mullins Show, now available on the Salem Podcast Network.
I do find it a little bit off-putting when someone has a history of calling others out for being complicit via their silence to then occupy that space themselves. The hypocrisy is the issue I have.
The Aaron Mullins Show on the Salem Podcast Network. Subscribe today on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, or at SalemPodcastNetwork.com.
From the Team Hochberg Traffic Center, let's get you into your workday on the roads. Stop and go on the Stevenson. We'll start there on the inbound lanes between Harlem and Damon Avenue, about a 25-minute delay. The Reagan Memorial has some issues on the eastbound ramp between Roosevelt and Tri-State. It is stop and go on the Eden Spur, eastbound between Waukegan and Eden's Expressway. Let's check the Kennedys. Outbound 90 between Montrose and Harlem Avenue, about a 12-minute delay. The inbound Kennedy between Montrose and Division, about a 17-minute delay. Backing up on the Eisenhower this morning, inbound lanes between 9th and Cicero, about a 15-minute backup. The Dan Ryan Express lanes inbound between 59th and Stevenson, expect about a 10-minute delay in the area. DuSable Lakeshore northbound backing up between Stevenson and Monroe. Finally, the Jane Addams slow traffic on the ramp to the inbound Eisenhower if you're going eastbound between Meacham and Route 53. Big savings on full mouth dental implants are here at AlmostFreeTeeth.com. Medical insurance can make what used to cost a fortune surprisingly affordable. Don't wait. Take the 60-second quiz to see if you qualify at AlmostFreeTeeth.com. I'm John Cruz. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Now check out the QC Kinetics forecast from the National Weather Service.
Today will be breezy with a mix of clouds and sun, reaching a high of 56. Tonight, expect cloudy skies early, then becoming partly cloudy later with a low of 42. Tomorrow, anticipate a blend of clouds and sunshine, perfect for Halloween activities with a high of 55. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. If you're looking for the latest news, insight into what it means, and the sharpest opinion, there's only one station in Chicago where you can turn, and it's this one. We're AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here, and closing arguments, the races that will be decided on Tuesday in New Jersey and Virginia, and of course in New York City with the it girl of the 2025 cycle for the left, clearly, Zohran Mamdani. You saw it at the rally this weekend. All the stars were out. AOC, Kathy Hochul. Painful. Almost as painful as Handsy Andy Cuomo's closing ad. Experience. That's what he's touting as his value prop.
Life in New York is tough right now. Candidates who need on-the-job training can't fix it. I see a new day just over the horizon with 5,000 more cops on the beat, the homeless off the streets, and 500,000 new affordable homes. Bringing New Yorkers together by unifying, not divided. Join me, and let's build a better New York starting on day one.
Yeah. Okay. He doesn't do any inspiration any better than he does comedy, any better than he manages a pandemic. He is the poster child for Oscar Wilde's quip that experience is what we call our failures. No sale. Which is why, as I've been saying the last couple of weeks, all this hue and cry from erstwhile center-right or even conservatives to throw in with Andy Cuomo? No. Can't get on board that train. Absolutely not. He's a disgrace. I mean, Zoran Mamdani is a Marxist ideologue. He's a catastrophe and, just really a child. And so is he dangerous? Yeah. Tempered or perhaps not by the city council and ultimately by New York City's electorate. But that doesn't mean that I have to default to Andy Cuomo to, be constructive here. If I was in New York City, Curtis Lee was fine for me. Mamdani's closing argument is kind of fun. Must feel like he is not where he needs to be with the Latino vote to feel completely secure. So his closer is this.
Hola, Nueva York!
Hola, Nueva York! He's like he's the host of Sábado Gigante. Oh, the pandering. It's never enough. And there's so many clips from the Mamdani vault that encapsulate his candidacy. But perhaps, particularly since public safety is a preeminent issue, perhaps this instant classic, his dislike of both police and prisons.
The way that prisons are set up in our society, I would argue that they do not work. They do not make us safer. The instinct is to just take that person, the source of that harm, the source of that issue, and then just throw them away. Put them in a cage and throw away the key. And that doesn't address the reason why that harm was created in the first place. A lot of times, people who create trauma for others are those who themselves went through trauma earlier in their own lives.
Right.
And I bring all of this up to say that, again, like when we talk about policing, I don't think the system actually makes us safer. I think what it does is it just removes problems out of view. It just...
Yeah, social workers and free mental health provisions, I suppose. That's the order of the day. And, of course, there's something to that in the larger conversation. But when it comes to repeat violent offenders, first you have to remove them from society, and then you get them a treatment, if there is treatment to be offered that has the possibility of effective impact, right? It's not really that complicated. But, who needs to get into those details when everybody's in a celebratory mood? Fresh off of his endorsement by female rabbis, including one trans female rabbi, Zoran got the coveted Mandy Patinkin endorsement. Oh, Saul. Mandy Patinkin and his wife, actress Catherine Grody, did this little GOTV bit with Zoran for Tuesday.
Rolling. Okay, we've got until Tuesday, and don't take anything for granted, right?
No, I've never taken you for granted. I'm not taking this for granted. We are going to win this because we have this extraordinary human being who is going to lead our city and eventually, if we're really thinking, our nation and the world to a better, safer, all-inclusive existence. And that's what I love about this guy.
So please head on over to ZaronForNYC.com/GOTV. Sign up for a shift, knock on some doors, make some phone calls, and let's win a city.
And don't assume anything.
No, right. Thank you. That's wow. What President Mamdani, boy, I thought, and I still do, think Jon Stewart describing him as the Jackie Robinson for his constituencies. Marxists, Muslims, Marxist Muslims, remarkable. I mean, in an era of inane political superlatives, I still think Jon Stewart takes the cake. For more on the race and, identitarian politics by extension, Zaid Jilani joins us, reporter based in Atlanta. His Substack is substack.com at Zaid Jilani, Zaid Jilani, Zaid Jilani. Zaid, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Yeah, always great to be here.
So, the Mamdani phenomenon. Your perspective on it.
Look, I think that you can credit Mamdani with a lot of things and as far as his political skills and talents, but also I think we have to look at this as a massive failing by Andrew Cuomo, right? A man who emerged from the most famous political family in New York, who had the support and backing of an enormous number of large donors, of sort of the establishment press, the Democratic Party, and he loses the primary over the summer, right? A lot of people thought he would just quietly walk away and escape with his dignity, but then he decides to keep running, and now it looks like he may lose by up to 15, 20 points, right? I mean, a poll this morning had him losing by 25 points. If I was in Cuomo's shoes, I think I would just, throw in the towel. But unfortunately, he seems like he's soldiering on. And look, Mamdani's a young and fairly inexperienced guy, but I think he's very charismatic. But really, on paper, Cuomo should not have lost. And it really does speak to his weaknesses and his inability to recognize when his time's up, I think.
Does it speak to the particular demographics in New York? A couple of data points that are circulating. 40% of the adults are not employed. 53% of adults receive at least one form of public assistance. 38% of the residents are foreign-born, and Mamdani leads that demographic 2-1 over Cuomo. 25% of residents are not proficient in English. 50% do not use English as their primary language. Is this maybe less about Mamdani and even lesser about Cuomo, although he's awful, and more just about the composition of New York in 2025?
Yeah, I mean, look, I think that is a factor, especially I think if you go back 10 to 15 years, there was a large wave of gentrification in New York, and particularly in the outer boroughs, right? A lot of people were moving into the city, not only from abroad, but also from other parts of the country, like particularly like millennials, people who at this point are in their 40s. A lot of them have kids, but they were young back then, right? And I think this has also led to some level of political turnover. You see that not only at the mayoral level, but I think you see it at the city council level. You see it, I think, in some of the way they're voting in sort of larger statewide elections. At the same time, Trump made some real inroads in New York City in 2024. And I think what's really interesting is he made inroads among Latino communities. He made some inroads among the black vote. I think some of the biggest black swing in the entire country was in New York, actually, towards the Republicans. And I'm really interested to see if in this election some of those people return to the Democratic tent because maybe they're disappointed that, costs have not gone down, prices have not stabilized the way that Trump had promised, or if this is a larger thing that we're going to see in an election after election.
And what about the political impact of Mamdani's victory, if that comes to pass, which it looks pretty certain? And also too in the aggregate when you start saying the big city mayors, Mamdani and Brandon Johnson and Brandon Scott and whoever wins in Seattle is a mess, Portland, etc. And does that sort of almost going back to the George Floyd period with the rioting around the country, is that something that the Democrats are going to be able to distance themselves from if these things continue to go as badly as they're going, when you had the leading lights, for example, of their party, all rallying for Mamdani this weekend? Hakeem Jeffries endorsed him too.
Look, I think a data point that actually aligns very well with what you're saying is we all know Mamdani is going to win. It seems fairly obvious, but look at New Jersey, one state south, right? The last poll that just came out about New Jersey, the Democrats and Republicans are neck and neck, right, the gubernatorial candidates. And I think part of the reason for that is that we have seen a lot of dysfunctional governing in a lot of these blue states and cities, right? You have traditional Democratic constituencies shifting to the right. You saw that even in New York City with the Trump vote in 2024. And I think we're seeing it in New Jersey now. So to me, it's essential that whoever wins these races, we're talking about Virginia, New Jersey, you mentioned a couple other cities, New York City, they focus on this bread and butter issues that they try to get costs down, try to build housing, make things more affordable for people, and not think so much about the social engineering, the more culture war stuff, the stuff that I think really was starting to tar Democrats around 2020 and some of the other elections there. Because I think you're absolutely right. If they don't focus on bread and butter, if they get caught up in weird esoteric things, it is going to end up hurting them, and it's going to hurt them even with a lot of their traditional base voters.
They also have become comfortable that maybe they're trying to mainstream this. Maybe it's just inertia. Become a lot more comfortable using the term Democrat socialist, talking even about the formal DSA organization. But that term Democrat socialist, he's a Democrat socialist. He's not a socialist. He's not a Marxist. He's a Democrat socialist. Is this sort of an MSNBC type rebranding where they're going to try to mainstream that to defang it when Republicans refer to socialists as socialists? It's odd to me that there's sort of an embrace of that branding going on because, branding matters.
Yeah, you're right. I do think that if you're a Democrat in a more purplish or red area, like, the Democrats in my area, for instance, in Georgia, John Ossoff is not going to run saying that he's a socialist, right? It would seem weird, and it wouldn't really gel with people. I think in some of the bluer areas of the country, it is kind of a way maybe for some of the Democrats who decide to define as Democratic socialists to say, hey, we're not those old Democrats that used to be. We're not, we're not with Cuomo. We're not with the establishment. It's a way to kind of separate themselves out. As a national brand, I would think I would lean more with you. It doesn't really connect with people. A lot of people still have a negative impression of it. That being said, I think Republicans sometimes overplay their hands, calling everything socialist. Obama was socialist, that person was socialist. And then you kind of lose the sting of the claim a little bit, right? Kind of like how the left called everything racist. Your cereal is racist, your dog is racist, your national park is racist. Like if you keep using a label like that, like you said, it just kind of takes the sting out of it a little bit. So I don't know. I think we'll see. To me, it comes across more as like a phenomenon for the really blue areas of the country, where we're not really seeing it in purple or red areas. But we'll see where it goes.
How concerned are you about some of the data out? And there was recent polling of Illinois Democrats, too, that was pretty chilling. But this is not new. The polling data that suggests there are a lot of people, particularly on the left. There's not an equivalence here. It is disproportionately on the left that see political violence as the means to political ends.
Yeah, it's really interesting because I used to work on a project. Actually, it was a research center at UC Berkeley, and I worked on a project on polarization. So we spent a lot of time reading surveys, talking to psychologists about this. I think there has been an increase in support for political violence. Certainly, I think I don't want to say it's like the average person, but maybe it just seems like we're living in an era of a little bit more of kind of animosity or anger, contempt, disgust, which are kind of the elements that go into political violence. And and generally what happens, I think, is when there's one act of political violence, usually there's a copycat, right? So I think, for instance, when Luigi Mangione was alleged to assassinate Donald Trump, or assassinating that CEO of the Health Insurance Corporation, I think you can make an argument that there would not have been a Charlie Kirk assassination if that hadn't happened, right? Like, I think these things are almost like a contagion, right? When it's in the air, when you're starting to see other people do it, you often get prompted to do it. And actually, I did a story a few years ago about how mass shootings operate that way. When there's one mass shooting, usually there's a few more that follow right after it, based on, like, when there's more media coverage of one, you can predict more that will happen. And I think that's because when people see something happen, they get inspired, right? There's not that many people in the country who would actually do these things, but everyone has access to television and social media. They see it, and the disturbed people who are willing to do it are willing to go out and do it. As far as surveys showing, certain percentages, a lot of it depends on how you ask the question, the survey designs. A lot of it has been criticized, saying that they exaggerate support for political violence. I certainly hope that's true because I hate political violence. But I do think, unfortunately, we're living in a time of kind of contagious political violence, and I wouldn't be surprised if we saw some other high-profile acts of political violence this year or next year.
Well, especially because it becomes a bit self-reinforcing when you have popular podcasters celebrating the death of the assassination, the killing of Charlie Kirk, and platforming others who are celebrating it. When you have like this Greta Thunberg, next gen Greta Thunberg named Kayla Walsh, who said, of the assassination of those 2 Israeli embassy employees, why didn't, essentially she said, why weren't more Zionists? Why didn't more people participate in that? Why aren't there more Elias Rodriguez's, who was the assassin? Why weren't there people helping him to escape? She's sort of arguing that there needs to be more of this and more organization to help assassins get away with political violence. I mean, some shocking statements. And I know, these are a collection of one-offs, but a lot of it's gone mainstream too, so to speak, when you have elected officials like our very own governor and mayor in Illinois and in Chicago. Federal law enforcement officers are terrorists and they're racists and they're Nazis, and the point of their activity is to terrorize and to just be cruel for its own sake and so forth. I mean, doesn't that have sort of like I said, a self-reinforcing effect where it keeps the prospect of political violence front and center?
Yeah, look, I think that what's really important after these things, I wrote some pieces after the assassination of Charlie Kirk, and the main point that I made was that, and I think, I give some credit to Ezra Klein, New York Times, because he made the same points, and he got really raked over the coals by some people on the left over it, but that Kirk, whatever you think about him, he would go to places and debate with people, have really long discussions with folks. That's the right way to do politics, right? That's the golden idea of politics since our founding, right? As to have debate, discussion, even raucous or angry debate. As long as you're talking, you're not fighting, right? Once you stop talking, then you start fighting, right? And I think Kirk, whatever you think about his ideas, and I don't agree with a lot of them, he had the right idea about that. He had the right set of ground rules for how we need to engage in democracy. And I think he deserves credit for that. And I think that's something that we should learn from, right? I think that we should all understand that dialogue has to be the number one way to do politics, and that violence is not a way to do politics. Violence is the way that you do anarchy, right? And it is unfortunate there's so much anger out there in the country that people would celebrate things like that people would discourage dialogue and things. Because, like I said, once you stop talking, there's not much left to do except to fight, right? So we have to talk to each other.
Zed Jalani is a reporter based in Atlanta. You can get his writings at substack.com/@ZedJalani, ZAIDJILANI, Zed Jalani. Zed, thanks for joining us again. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
And Zed Jalani joined us on the Turnkey.Pro answer line.
It's news, opinion, insight. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
If you need custom boxes and crates, expert packing and crating, import-export transloading with heavy lift capability, the DC Group delivers. It all started 51 years ago with DC Export and Domestic Packing, the hard work of founders Dominic and Carol Cochamiglio. Their family's desire to exceed customer expectations, backed by an incredible team and loyal customers, is now driving expansion. From their humble roots in a garage-sized building to 100,000 square feet in the Chicago area, 45,000 in Greenville, and a new Houston facility, they're coast to coast. And their sister company, DC Transport, handles everything from container drayage to super heavy haul loads across North America since 1991. Whether it's packing and crating, transloading, transportation service, or trade shows, the DC Group delivers. Those that attended FabTech 2025, we'd love to hear from you. Get your quote now at DCExport.com. That's DCExport.com, your trusted logistics partner.
The Lutheran Life Communities Foundation supports spiritual care at our 4 retirement communities. Our full-time chaplains provide Christian support as older people journey through the aging process. Through assisted living, memory care, nursing, and rehab, our chaplains walk the path with your loved ones. Please support our 130-year mission with your offering today. Visit LutheranLifeCommunities.org today. That's LutheranLifeCommunities.org. Find out how you can help.
When the power goes out, life stops. Heat, AC, fridge, phones, all gone. But with a Generac home standby generator from True Power Generator Service, your home powers back on automatically, so you're never left in the dark. Book your consultation today at TruePowerGenerator.com. That's TruePowerGenerator.com. Plus, 560 listeners get a free 10-year extended warranty. Terms and conditions apply. Call for details. True Power Generator Service and Generac. It's not just a generator, it's a power move.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank, a bank where relationships still matter. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
Hey all, Jim Carr here. I am the owner of Carr Machine and Tool in Elk Grove Village and loyal customer of Signature Bank. As a second generation owner, I knew I had to shift from operating as an old school machine shop to what I can proudly say is now one of the fastest growing aerospace manufacturing facilities in the region. Signature Bank was there every step of the way through our expansion efforts, including financing our new state-of-the-art facility. Their valuable industry expertise and constant communication throughout the construction process made our vision possible. Many thanks to Signature Bank for supporting Carr Machine and Tool. You set the bar high for other banks.
Signature Bank helps local businesses succeed. Want to learn how Signature Bank can help turn your business vision into reality? Visit signaturebank.bank. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
AM 560, The Answer.
Well, thank you for joining us on another edition of Chicago's Morning Answer. Still trying to get over Inigo Montoya going for Zoran Mamdani. It's a tough one to swallow. We'll be back to round out the week tomorrow on Chicago's Morning Answer. It is now 9 a.m. on AM 560 WIND Chicago.
It's great news for America.